can't remember it myself. I'm a little rusty on it.
I'll hum it for you.
It is time. Once again. Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Through the intro. Hi there. My name is Josh, and welcome to my channel. On here, oh wait, I didn't even do the real intro. Wow. Why do I feel like I'm like out of practice at this for whatever reason? I think it's because yesterday we just did one long stream with like one long topic. But anyway, the way it's supposed to be done. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you might be watching this. My name is Josh, and welcome to my channel. On here, we talk news, we talk politics, we talk current events. We got a whole big ass show, a whole stacked show, some good content. So it should kind of be fun, or no, it should be fun. And you should kind of, sort of, definitely hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Do all of those things now, so that you don't feel, a bit silly when you do it later, and you think, man, I should have like done that in the beginning of the show. This was so good. But yeah, today on the show, what do we got today? I just noticed my camera's a little bit ajar or tilted, kind of. Do I look tilted? I guess on my screen it looks fine. Whatever. What do we got today? Right. Today we have, I want to look at what I'm going to be called manly, in quotation marks, true crime. From there, I want to take a look at some good old Trump supporters, some good old MAGA. Try to define for us some drag and woke and everything else. I'm stealing a little bit, I'm stealing a little bit of the colloquially called hogwatch from Hasanabi, but that's okay. I think that's fine. Watching right-wing people like not be able to answer questions isn't exactly the most, somebody else produces that content anyway. But either way, from there, apparently Miller Lite is the newest target of right-wing boycott due to what? I'm not sure, so we'll find out. We're gonna stop in on a kind of smaller, a much smaller channel. I'd never seen their content before. Let's see if I can. How many subs do they have? They have 100K subs. Nothing super crazy. 154 videos. That's it. Okay. Let's take a look. We'll look into this. Doesn't seem like an incredibly big channel though. So naturally, doing their right-wing grift, we'll kind of take a look at that and dissect that. After that, we're gonna get into Ben Shapiro's trans panic over Elliot Page posting pics that literally every like guy posts when they have a good workout. It looks like, I don't really know what the pictures are, but I can look like it's that controversial. And after that, we're going to look. Well, please don't play. You played. Why did you play? Why did you play? After that, we're going to take a look at Killer Mike's, FT Signifier's response to Killer Mike and kind of his musings on the topic. I watched a little bit of this earlier, and I found it to be really, really fascinating and really good, like a really good take and a really good lens on kind of the issue of black capitalism and such and such. If you don't watch his content, you should. I've been brushing up on a little bit of the older videos. Good videos, good stuff. But specifically, I want to look at the Killer Mike stuff because I like Killer Mike. I like Run the Jewels, but it's disappointing to see him kind of, with his, what black people need to do to better their stead in America. But we'll get to that when we get to it. Either way, let's, as I undo these buttons, because I realize I didn't do the forearm ones, which means this is a bit uncomfortable at the end on my forearms. Come on. There we go. Oh, that's so much better. Now I can actually like roll that properly. Okay, cool. All right. Phenomenal. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so to start out, I thought to myself today, we should start out with something fun, right? We should absolutely be starting out with something fun. Now, I'm sure everyone here is aware of, forgot about that. I'm sure everyone here is aware of true crime in the true crime like industrial complex on YouTube, on Spotify, on like every single platform. Every single day, thousands, if not millions, of white women in the suburbs scare themselves silly by reading, watching, and consuming what's the word I'm looking for? True crime content. A bunch of, you know, like crazy stories about kidnappings, murders, all this stuff. And because of that, we have a bit of a hysterical, you know, populace, a small hysterical populace in the country. And I'm sure you've seen this video before. I'm sure you've seen it. Whoa, stop.
Hey mamas, let's talk about the memorable features on the Rezvani Vengeance.
And this is this is the consequence of people terrifying themselves because they watch too much true crime. So we're gonna watch this, and then I want to take a look at what I'm gonna be calling, you know, quotations, manly true crime.
I'm body armored, and so is this vehicle. For even more protection, you have explosive underbody shielding, bulletproof glass, electrified door handles.
Electrified door. Now imagine you're a kid and you need to like do like the hot to the touch, or like, you know, make sure that your mom turned off the electric you know, the electrocution fucking defense mechanism before you enter into the car so you can go home and watch like afternoon cartoons.
Carry grade run flat tires and a Ram steel bumper. If anyone's following you, you have blinding lights in the front and the back. Or a smoke screen. Plus my favorite.
Oh, fuck it. Wait. I don't remember the smoke screen. A smoke screen? That's a fucking hazard, dude.
Pepper spray. If you're picking your kids up from the mall, let them know you're there with strobe lights and your intercom.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Bobby, it's your mommy.
Oh, yeah. Every kid would rather be run over by this truck after that experience.
Kids will love that it was styled by a video game designer. Vengeance is based on the Cadillac Escalade, so Mama gets heated and ventilated leather seats, a curved OLED display with augmented reality, a digital rearview mirror.
This is one of those. It's not even a rearview mirror; it's a fucking digital one. This is like some fucking cyberpunk shit, right? Like that's what this is. This is fucking like corpos, fucking you know, the tanks that like the police department there, or is it Militech? Yeah, like that Militech fucking drive around in.
Which is necessary. Vengeance is only yours, and so is everything in this built-in safe. Parents might need to help their kiddos open the door, but it's a breeze to get in.
Oh man, it's really really. I don't know why that connected to that. I watched that on its own. Okay, so we're all kind of familiar with that, right? And we're familiar with the genre of like true crime and everything else, right? But something that like popped up on my recommendations was this home defense video. And tell me these are not the same, like just the same videos. I like
Time now for the weather.
You know, you're just sitting there, just hanging out, watching the good old game. Heart's pounding. You're not sure who's at the door.
Can I help you?
It's a fucking mannequin. See, you can never trust mannequins.
No, I don't want any.
Drop! Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! Stay on the ground! Do not move! Do not move! Babe, call the sheriff now! If you move,
Call
you
the
die.
sheriff. Call the sheriff. Call the sheriff. Okay, guys. Okay. There's a reason why. There's a reason why I wanted to talk about this. And it's mainly because we live in such a fucking paranoid country now because of content like this. And this is not unique content. The person who runs this channel did not come up with this out of whole cloth. They didn't like come up with the idea of doing home defense YouTube content. This is content. This is a genre of content that's been around for quite a long time. But it just so happens I'm picking on this channel. And you know, this person, you know, I have no reason to believe that they're not trained. You know, it says they're a Navy SEAL. I have no reason to believe any of that stuff is a lie. But like, we need to kind of, I think, reckon and recognize a little bit with how paranoid Americans have become. I'm going to look up some statistics while we watch this because I'm an idiot and I looked them up ahead of time. so I'd have them on the fly, but then I closed the page by accident, never reopened it, and forgot about it when I had to go get groceries. But my point with this is we need to be we need to get a vibe check on people. How are people in the suburbs, you know, responding to literally anything? You know, a knock on the door. And this isn't something, keep in mind, this is not like everything I'm saying. This isn't crazy to think that, oh, like, you know, nobody would be hurt by any of this stuff, or this isn't dangerous. No. We've had stories of people getting shot because they went to the wrong door because they thought they were entering their house, or they thought they were entering their friend's house, or whatever. Anyway, I'm doing a lot of talking. Let's just consume a little bit.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about home invasions and how quickly they can happen if you're not prepared. There's a couple things to take in consideration. Before you start really getting into all the possible scenarios, it's super important that you have a foundation for the security of your home. For me personally, the two major factors that I always follow is doors are always locked and I have a CCW on me at all times or within reach.
So keep in mind, I want you to think about this. We have trained a part of our population to be under the belief that they walk into their home and they arm themselves in their homes. Even their homes to them are not safe. That says a lot about where we are in terms of like our national psyche, our national paranoia. Like, these people walk around their house ready to quick draw on somebody. And imagine what that paranoia does to you. What kind of like alertness, that like the damage of being that alert has on your psyche at all times.
As you can see running through these scenarios,
you know, they're walking there. There's a knock on the door and they walk up, you know, hand on waist, ready to go. They're opening the door. They're making sure. And it's just regular people. Somebody asking for help or something, asking for a jump for their car because their fucking battery died, asking for, hey, do you have any brown sugar, whatever it might be. And there's this like crazy thought of like, oh my God, my house is going to get invaded. Oh my God, there's going to be like a violent, attacked by somebody. Oh my God. It's like this, we'll go over it, by the way, but it's just, this is where we are. And again, this is, in my view, no different from the last video we just watched.
Happens very quickly, and regardless how big, how bad, what your background is, you can lose your life, and it gives them direct access to your wife and your children, okay? So we want to prevent that, and we have to ensure that we lay a good foundation. So before we get started, always use a airsoft or something like that when you're running these drills.
Thank God, some safe.
Accidents do happen, and you never want to be responsible for potentially injuring or killing someone else when you're running these drills, okay? So as we go through this, I'm just going to walk you through it and just kind of give you my thought process on it of how my house is set up. It's not going to be exactly like yours is, so you just kind of have to adapt to that baseline, okay? So the first thing I have going for me is I have frosted glass windows, which is really hard to see in, but it allows...
Like, guys, come on. This is just the tinted windows from the fucking, what's it called? I see we have, let's see. I have PTSD, hypervigilance is draining, but I'd rather be ready than sorry. Not even right wing, but the world is a fucked up place and walking accordingly, I say many times. Yeah, like, this isn't, I don't want to make this about anybody's like mental health, but this is where we are as a country, as a population. We've scared ourselves into, and I do think the right wing, and this is partially the NRA, has scared themselves into thinking that this is something they need to be hyper vigilant about. Having actual like PTSD and hypervigilance is one thing, but this video isn't made for people who have those problems. This is made for dudes in the suburbs who are kind of bored and want to feel like, they've built a castle, even though you just live in the suburbs, my guys.
Allows me to see out, okay? So the third factor,
this is gonna, there are gonna be guys, there are gonna be dads in the burbs who are gonna be like,
If I
honey,
call
we
the
need to
plumber,
get
if I've
this
called,
kind of like
you know,
the whatever kind of glass you just
said.
said.
Maybe, and I have a timeline.
And they're gonna be like,
well,
why
then
are we
I can look
installing?
out
It's
the
like, so
window
just
on
in
the
case,
approach and
you know, I can see them when they come up to the door. Da, 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 da. And it's like, dude, you take a breath, Jesus.
Kind of get a better idea of what they look like and see the vehicle, and it's expected. Okay, so there's no reason for me to really be alarmed at that point. If it's unexpected, as you notice, there was one point that I actually had the gun out. There's no reason for me not to have my gun out if somebody's at my door.
There's no reason. Like, think about this. This is the mindset of answer your door on every ring, ready to kill somebody because you're so worried. And like, and again, we find it hysterical when it's the lady showing off the absurd tank car. But that's what this is. That is the same true crime, you know, like hyper terrified of like every like little like sound in the suburbs type of attitude.
Unexpectedly, okay. Some people will say that's a little overboard, but
It's
there are many videos out there to where people come up to do some type of sales pitch, and then there are other you know, accomplices outside waiting to enter the house. Okay, so it's not unheard of. It's actually very common nowadays. Okay,
and that dude just walks away. Like, I'm sorry. That okay. Let's be clear. That guy either like that was either staged. Like, I don't know what happened there, but that dude just like walked away. Like, oh yeah, they like ran in. Okay, I'm gonna close up my pizza and go home. Like, ay.
So the next
and like,
step
it's not to
is,
say that this
as I
stuff doesn't
open the
happen,
door,
but the idea that you're going to
regardless
be
if I recognize
in these
this person or
situations,
not as someone who's supposed to be there,
incredibly rare.
as you
Again, I'm looking
noticed,
up the stats
I
right now.
always
I wish I had
position
saved
myself
the
partially behind the door. Okay,
the source that I found.
All right, I always use my foot as a door stop. Okay?
Yes.
I may not be able to prevent them from coming in, but I can prevent them from getting full access to the door, which is going to restrict their movement, which could potentially allow me to strike, slam them in the door. Once again, I'm unlimited of what I can do at this point, okay? The overall goal, if I can, is to get the door shut and locked, okay? So on the approach, I said, hey, can I help you? I don't want any. This person starts.
Okay, so this is from the, what is this? This is Office of Justice Programs, governmental agency. Oh, Bureau of Justice Statistics, sorry. About, let's take a look really quickly. Household members face an offender with a firearm in about 12% of all households burglarized, while someone was home and violence occurred. Household members present during a completed burglary were less likely to face an armed offender 30% than an unarmed offender 63%. Like, the idea, and I'll look up, I'll continue to look, I'm trying to find, like, because I don't want to find, so here's also the problem, and keep in mind, this goes back to the culture. If you go look up how many home invasions or, you know, armed, let's just do home invasions really quickly, because I want to demonstrate what I mean. If somebody is like worried about this, like, we have some news stories that obviously this is like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not interesting, but a very sensational news. And after we get like some decent sources, you're gonna see like 8 surprising home burglary facts and stats. You know, you're at 10 ways to secure your home against home invasions. And most of these are gonna be selling you insurance or are sponsored by insurers of like you know, home insurance. So it's like, it's one of those things where there is a monetary the same way I said about the NRA, there is a monetary the incentive to drive people to be really paranoid about a problem that isn't really all that likely. The likelihood of a home invasion when you're present is pretty damn low. Again, I'm gonna look up the stats, but like, this is part of that, like, building that hysteria when somebody is a homeowner and they have to buy home insurance.
Coming towards me, if I can get their hands shut in the door, I can strike. I get that door shut and locked, and then back out with the gun itself, okay? At this point, if I'm home alone, well,
And
I
God
have to
forbid the
deal
person
with
doing
it
all of
on
this
my
is
own,
like
okay?
not
Since I have
ready
a
or
gun,
prepared for
my
all of
wife
this.
is, she doesn't really shoot. I'm the primary protector. Hey, babe, call the sheriff, call 911.
Call the sheriff.
Police, wherever you
Also,
are,
let's be okay.
Super important that you can do
And,
that.
and this is like tertiary to the point also, but there is a certain amount of, I think, like masculine ego that goes into a lot of these videos and goes into framing like the man of the house, the father house, whatever, as this like this last wall of defense from the savagery of the outside world. There is always that kind of Western, I think, narrative that kind of flows through a lot of this kind of content, where it's like, oh yeah, like outside is the scary world, and it's the man's job to keep all the evil and scariness at bay, and it's very ego driven. It's very my purpose is to protect the home and protect this and do that, and I'm not a real man unless I'm doing that. But if there's no targets, if there's no one for you to attack, if there's no one for you to defend yourself from, then it kind of makes you wonder, like, what is a superhero without a supervillain, right? It's like, what am I without an actual real tangible threat? I have to make one up. And I think videos like this and content like this drives kind of that hysteria, the same way that truck from earlier drives hysteria.
At that point, I can start communicating with this person outside that door. Get back, get away from my door. I have a gun. If you come in, I will shoot, okay? No, I don't want any, I'm sorry.
Hey, call the cops, call the sheriff, call the sheriff. Get back, I will shoot. Get back. Get back, get away from my home now.
Because at the end of the day, I don't want to shoot anyone. Even though I'm in the right, there's ramifications that I have to deal with. News are going to get involved. The way the world is going, anti-gun people could...
The way the world is going. The world is not going any differently than it was last week. The anti-gun stuff, again, we've always been having debates about guns. Also, keep in mind the right to everybody's individual right to own and carry a firearm and everything else. That was like the reading of the Second Amendment that we're living under right now was only established in 2008. So keep in mind, it is not like we've always lived under this super, laissez-faire gun, gun relationship. And, only now are they trying to rein it back a bit. No, this is only now did we get this really like laissez-faire reading from a very right-wing Supreme Court.
Potentially bully my wife, bully my children, death threats, all right, then I have to, even though I will be found innocent, I more than likely will have to pay for a lawyer, which is finances that I don't want to deal with. And then I have to deal with the emotional aspect of taking a life. Me personally, I can handle that, but I want you to think about
I'm certainly glad this guy's mentioning
that someone was killed here. That's going to affect them emotionally.
It's also going to make
the
house haunted.
As the primary protector of the home, you have a responsibility to protect not only physically, emotionally, and spiritually, financially. Okay, so
and keep in mind. Okay, fine. I finally found it. We got some FBI stats. So 2019, there was an estimated 1.1, we'll just do 1.1 million burglaries, a decrease of 9.5%. When compared to 2018 data, the number of burglaries decreased 29.6% when compared with 2015 data and was down 48.5% when compared with 2010 estimate. Burglaries account for 16.1% of the estimated number of property crimes. By subcategory, 55% of burglaries involved forcible entry. 37% were unlawful entries, and 6.5% were attempted forcible entry. So keep in mind, out of this 1 million, we're talking maybe 500,000 are forced entries, and even then, that doesn't necessarily account for armed burglaries, since armed burglaries, I'm assuming, is what they're counting in. So, and how many houses are there in the United States? There are 300 million people in this country? How many houses do you think there are? How many families do you think there are? And again, of the what? Let's see. Yeah, of the 1 million, like this is a minuscule number. This is a minuscule number that we've driven our citizens to be really paranoid over. And again, it's because of the monetary incentives at play, because people want to sell you homing insurance.
Possibilities, all right? So for whatever reason, this person breaches this doorway, all right? And I cannot close the door, whatever. I come out back in this direction here. Reason being, this is called the fatal funnel, okay? Even if I get that door shut, I'm coming here roughly at a 45, okay?
I mean, thank God he's using a fucking airsoft
through
gun.
this door, they're going to be shooting back this way, and I want to ensure that I'm out of that fatal funnel, okay? Same thing goes with...
And keep in mind,
fact,
as I said earlier,
if he's just trying to suck me...
This isn't content for people who have like mental illnesses, who are hyper paranoid, who do have PTSD, stuff like that. That's not who this is for. This is for fucking Jake down the street who has an office job, who, you know, maybe heard once about like a burglary, a break-in of like a coworker's, and is kind of bored. That's what this is. That's who this is for. And if you've ever like, you know, if your dad's ever come home and started acting like nuts, looking around the house for like entry points and being really like silly about shit, like this is the next level. That's the next step of that.
And someone comes around the corner, I still want to go back this way. All right. Path of least resistance. This person's coming around this doorway. The easiest motion for him to take is 90 degrees. If I come back this direction, now he has.
And also, you're asking a bunch of untrained suburban dads to you know, be ready to respond with all this and everything else. And you know, how many of them, you know, how many dads do you think are opening every door and like, you know, they place their foot, they look down, they have to like adjust it. They're like, oh, I got to make sure I'm doing it right. Okay, cool. Okay, I gotta stay out of the funnel, gotta do this. Like, this is all trained combat stuff. This is not normal people. And for whatever reason, we've gotten to a point where we've trained our citizens to go through mundane activities, but do it in a tactical lens. It's really fucking wild. Like, this is not a thing that, like, Europe or anywhere in the rest of the world, I would argue, like, socially trains its, citizens to engage with.
At this point, I'm not trying to stop the person. I'm just trying to use every measure that I can to win that fight, okay? So as I said, there are millions of things
anybody who
to consider
who
here,
like tries to rob your home,
really
any like cop or somebody will tell you, just let them take whatever shit. If you have insurance, it's fine. Just, you know, somebody call the police as quick as they can, call it a day, and let them do their thing. Like, you engaging in violence is only going to escalate the situation.
You can actually access it on your phone and actually communicate and see who's outside before you even open the door.
It used to be when I was growing up that you just saw a lot of ADT commercials.
Tactical channel has been hard to find.
Now,
maybe we're shadow banned, we don't know.
You know, now we're getting in. Now we have channels like this, and that's what this is. This is you know, whatever the equivalent to Karens are, but you know, this is manly true crime right here. You know, it's unfortunate. It's indicative of where we're kind of at as a society, because we're paranoid about everything. And speaking of being paranoid about everything, we should talk about probably my favorite topic and my favorite person to talk to, and someone who my YouTube commenters really get triggered whenever I talk about this individual. And you might be saying, oh, Josh, who is this? Who are we talking? Are we talking about Matt Walsh? You haven't talked about Matt Walsh in quite a while. Well, now that his stuff is off YouTube, and I don't know, he just kind of doesn't really make much of a splash. He's kind of irrelevant. He's a bit irrelevant right now. You know, I feel like he also got bodied by that one student, I forget where, when they asked him about you know, truth and religion and, you know, everything else. So, you know, after that, I kind of feel like everyone said everything that we need to say about it. But no, there's always more though, unfortunately. And today, you know, it's another day. It's another Tim Pool video. Yes, I know. Like I said, my commenters will be so upset that I deign to respond to Tim Pool. But you know what? Every single day, Tim Pool puts out like 3 to 4 videos. Most of them are full of disinformation or misinformation. And Tim Pool says dumb shit. So to make sure that there's a response out there, there's some kind of reasonable pushback to his dumb ass takes, let's go take a look at what's happening with Miller Lite. Can't wait to see this. Woo! Woke and feminist. Wait, is there a difference? Is there a difference between woke and feminism? I actually kind of would love to ask that of Tim. Is there a real difference between woke ideology in his mind and feminist ideology? My suspicion is he would say there is no real tangible difference. Hit me with it. I don't need to bring up the stock market, right? Like I don't need to bring up the stock price of Anheuser-Busch to do the whole all of the right-wing you know, complaints, boycott, all of it hasn't worked. Oh, I forgot I didn't unmute this. I don't have to do that, right? Like I don't have to worry about that.
Miller Lite is trending on Twitter after a video surfaced of a woke feminist beer commercial for Miller. And everyone's saying this is Miller Lite's "Hey Bud Light, hold my beer" moment. But the reality is, I have important context for you, my friends. This ad, which you may have seen, it's from 1 month before Bud Light's Dylan Mulvaney fiasco. A whole month. Nobody cared. But now that we're all on board with boycotting beer, and many people on the right are realizing, hey, wait a minute, beer's really easy to boycott. Miller Lite, you're next.
I'm not going to say it. We're not even going to go there. We're not even going to go there.
Got this from Uppo-Yi.
We all know it's code.
After Bud Light, Miller Lite faces boycott calls for woke beer ad.
What is this?
I guess that's where we're at right now. Okay. And I have this clip from the Daily Wire. They posted it. I'm going to play for you this commercial so you can see it for yourself.
Oh, thank God.
And I responded to the Daily Wire saying this is from 1 month before the Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light. But let's play the commercial for you so you can understand why people are saying boycott Miller Lite. Let me just stress, they're arguing it's a feminist, anti-man commercial. Here you go.
Here's a little known fact. Women.
You know, not to be mean or anything, but I want to go take a look really quickly at a very specific response to Bud Light. Stop. Here it is. Okay. So if now you might be familiar with the back end of YouTube. If you've ever made content, I want to, you know, I really want to zone in. I want to hone in, I should say, on this response because I find it very interesting. In a response to another a Tim Pool video that I did, I think, oh God, this is like a week ago. This person responded, and I've seen kind of the general tenor of the response to the Bud Light stuff. This is not about gay, straight, or trend. I don't know what that means. This is about the fact that the Bush Company, through their spokesman, announced they look down their noses at us. We work hard, we play hard, but apparently we are beneath them. That is a mass of built in. Okay, this person is stupid, by the way. No apology will suffice. The Bush Corporation is not invited to the barbecues this summer. Right? And it's always like, oh, this isn't about being gay. It's not being straight. It's about like the disrespect, man. And I can't help but be like, because they would like the gays, the transes, the everybody to buy their beer, it's disrespectful to you. And if you ask Tim Pool, he'll say, oh, Bud Light is endorsing child sex changes or something, which they're not. They're sponsoring their beer being sold to people who get surgeries later on in life. That's the actual thing they're sponsoring. But, you know, I find it interesting that now it's become, you had a woman on your, you know, in your ad. How dare you? We'll let the video play, but, you know, whenever they say that it's not about it's not just about like it's not just about being straight. It's not just about being, but it's about that stuff. It's about not centering their identity.
And were among the very first to brew beer ever. From Mesopotamia to the Middle Ages to colonial America, women were the ones doing the brewing.
Amazing.
Centuries later, how did the industry pay homage to the founding mothers of beer?
Wait, Tim, you can't say so and then complain about it. If it's not a big deal, then you shouldn't care.
They put us in bikinis.
What?
True.
Women choose to wear bikinis. What are you talking about? I love this. Like, they put us in bikinis. You put yourself in bikinis. You literally go to the store and buy them and wear them. Nobody.
Well, Tim, women were put in bikinis in the commercials. In the universe where Miller Lite and Bud Light, by the way, get to control all facets of presentation, there were not women in a variety of clothing options. It was women in bikinis. I'm not a beer person. Beer's disgusting, but I think this is a pretty obvious point that is just flying over Tim's beanie on this one.
He makes you do it.
Wow.
Well, Tim, do you think any of the women in these videos, or sorry, in these pictures, these ads, would be allowed to be in them if they weren't in bikinis? Why are they in bikinis? Were these women just, hanging out on top of a giant Miller Lite bottle? Were they just hanging out at the beach with this cooler of beer? Were these all impromptu photos? No, they're staged. Meaning somebody picked the outfits and they picked bikinis, you fucking idiot. Jesus Christ.
Look at this wild.
Amazing.
It's time beer made it up to women. So today, Miller Lite
Beer made it up to women. All of these women were paid handsomely to appear in commercials where they intentionally...
Yeah, all the millionaire Miller Lite and Bud Light bikini models. You're right. All the millionaires. Tim, please.
wore scantily clad clothing to try and attract men. It's like the craziest thing. As if none of these women who are models, who are handsomely paid for this, have any agency. But
does he think models are
is
handsomely
on a
paid?
mission to clean up not just their but the whole beer industry.
the whole beer industry.
Does anyone know who any of these
Miller Lite
models
has
are?
been scouring
Also,
the internet for all this.
like, models don't make that much money, and their time frame to actually make money in that industry is incredibly slim. Like, incredibly slim. You have to pretty much make all of your money in the first, between the ages of like 21 and probably like 32. You got to do as much as you can to make as much money as you can before your body goes out of style.
And buying it back so that they can turn it into good for women brewers.
There we
Okay,
go.
let me just break this down for you. They're basically saying they will buy old beer ads of attractive women and turn it into compost.
Literally good How, you ask? Ladies, take it away.
First, we turn the bad into compost. Then we feed compost to worms. Push out beautiful fertilizer.
That good helps farmers grow quality hops, which is then donated to women brewers to make their own really good
Donated. I just gotta,
So many
look,
bleeps. Why are we
these
bleeping so
old
much?
ink chemical pages and magazine pictures and stuff, probably it's not something you want to have in your beer. This sounds more like sabotage, to be honest. Miller is sending hops to people that was grown from chemical-ridden compost. Not interested.
He does know that they're probably not actually going. I mean, even if they do, it's composting. Do you know how the process of? He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Never.
But there's
Why am I
definitely
asking?
more out there. In your attic, in the garage,
If you're wondering,
in
I don't
your
even
basement.
know.
Send any
People
you
turn
got
their
to Miller
shit
Lite,
into
and they'll
stuff,
turn that
like
into
their
good
personal
too.
shit.
Oh. So here's to women, because without us, there would be no beer.
Yeah.
Also, is
that's
it really
just
that crazy of a thought to think that women
Without
were
women,
probably
there would be no
brewing a lot of that stuff? They weren't. They were like, even in these people's conceptions of how the the old world hunter-gatherer system works. Yeah, they are the planters. They're the pickers of that sort of stuff. So naturally, they'd be the brewers of it. Women are the cooks, are the everything else. Making beer is I mean, I guess it's chemistry kind of, but it's no different, especially back in ye olden days, You know, you brew yourself a beer, and you know, you make the fucking one kind of bread you know how to make, and you slaughter some pigs. That's how you do it. I don't know what accent I'm doing, but I'm doing some kind of accent.
Beer, dude. Women are people.
Is it Irish?
So
I don't know.
It's like without people, there'd be no cars. Yeah, probably, unless like dolphins grew hands or something. We get it. Women, as humans, contribute to the necessity of producing something to consume. Thank you. So the history of beer is quite...
So if they're right, why are you bitching about it? If we're just gonna concede, yeah, I guess it was women who started brewing beer, and then it became a much more men-leading company and men-marketed company, and you know, we got treated as mascots of the beer, but not in a way that's respectful to the people, for the women who work in the brewing industry. But you know, we had them all look like you know, Pam Anderson on the fucking beach running in that one show that I can't remember the name of because I'm not a boomer. You know, so yeah, you know, if they're right, then what's the problem? What's the problem? Why are we boycotting it?
And there's many urban legends, as it were. The idea is generally humans were nomadic until we accidentally discovered beer. We mixed some grains in water or something.
Wait, does he actually think we were
fermented.
nomadic
like,
until
hey,
beer?
this is really good. It makes me feel really good, but
okay.
it's kind of bad for you. But ultimately, what
Do you think anybody thought beer was bad for you until what? Nobody thought. I will plant my flag. Nobody thought beer was bad for you until like definitely the modern era, definitely the 20th century. I would argue probably not until maybe what, the 19. I mean, I guess during Prohibition, but even then, wasn't Prohibition on political grounds? Wasn't that like, that wasn't like a health thing? We didn't prohibit beer because we were in alcohol, because it was a health thing. We did it out of like a social stigma, if I remember correctly.
What happens is, as they say, maybe I'm wrong, I'm not a beer historian, it was safer
Definitely
to
not.
drink lower alcohol content beers because the alcohol killed bad stuff in the water, so societies that had beer tended to do better. Liquid bread, as they called it. It was also a way to store grain, because if with the fermented carbohydrate liquid, you didn't have to worry about it spoiling because of the alcohol content, for the most part. Again, not an expert.
Okay.
But here you are, my friends, from prnewswire.com.
Cool.
This is from March 7th, 2023.
Newswire.
I'm not saying don't boycott Miller Lite. I don't care if you do. I think there's good reason to boycott Bud Light.
Wait. Miller Lite feminist ad sparks boycott call, all caps. Bud Light, quote, giving away beer for free in all caps panic. Come on, Tim. Don't pretend like you're not saying something.
Miller Lite's
God,
like whatever.
at least be
commercial.
brave and say the thing you're saying.
Ridiculous. So if you want to boycott them, by all
So
means.
one thing I can't stand about
But
Tim,
March
he's such a fucking
7th, they
coward.
announced this. They said, there's no beer without women. In fact, women were among the first beer brewers in history. Yet for the years that followed, many in the beer industry, Miller Lite included, alienated the very people who helped create it. How? By dividing women as consumers, objectifying them in their ads, and frankly, putting a lot of bad-ish out there.
True.
Today, Miller Lite is announcing...
I would love... Yeah, wait, alienated the very people who... Yeah, okay. He said that weird. I didn't understand.
Bad-ish to good-ish, an initiative
consumers.
creating fertilizer made from old sexist beer advertising that will be used to grow hops for female brewers.
Oh yeah, that's
beer brand is teaming.
Oh, so they're taking all the like shitty ad material that they have and they're composting it. And yeah, they're going to do that with even the good advertising materials. That's how composting works.
Up with producer, comedian,
you throw
actor,
a bunch
and
of
undeniable
compostable
arbiter
shit
of good-ish,
and then you get
Lana
fertilizer.
Glazer, or is it Ilana Glazer? To help amend the industry's sexist history of beer, marketing, and
Most
rectify
likely.
the past. They're returning the age-old objectifying beer ads into, it's just...
That's
it's
cool.
just the stupidest
It's kind of
thing.
like silly, but
Here
cool.
we go. They've been collecting their and other industry outdated, age-old, no thank you sexist ads, displays and posters for months. This is disgusting, by the way. They are turning it...
What's disgusting? Wait. Collecting back, Miller Lite has been collecting their and all other beer industries outdated, age-old thank you sexist ads, displays, posters, sexist ads, displays, and posters for months. Hundreds of pieces have already been bought and removed from the internet. Cool. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's probably like, okay, let's go. I'm kind of curious. Okay, let's go take a look really quick. eBay maybe? Yeah, let's try eBay. If I go to eBay and I'm like, let's do Miller Lite. Shut up, Edge. I don't know. Beer poster. Oh, poster. Here we go. Okay, yeah. 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 This is probably what they're talking about. They're like, we'll buy this and compost it. Is that a fucking crime against humanity? Like, okay, they're paying somebody for a poster that for whatever reason they still owned.
Age-old, no thank you sexist ads, displays and posters for months. This is disgusting, by the way.
Like, he's obviously he can't respond to me, but I just want to know what's disgusting about it. What's disgusting about buying posters and composting them?
They are turning it into fertilizer. How?
It's
like carbon sheets. You're having that compost.
Yeah,
they're growing hops, and then they're going to donate it to 100 female brewers to make 330,000 beers. I will not drink that beer. I do not want to.
Beer.
We took our garbage, decades-old garbage, and then we grew plants from it.
Well, no,
and
they just said they bought
you.
other people's.
Yeah, no thanks. You know, I got to be honest. I'll go for the like organic, nature-made beer if I'm gonna have one.
Organic, nature-made beer. Buddy, there's no such thing as nature-made beer, you fucking idiot. Jesus tap dancing Christ. Oh my God. Also keep in mind, you're not going to know which one of your beers in your packs is one of these 330,000 of them. They're just going to make them, put them out, and you're probably not going to even know about it. You might be drinking one right now for all you know.
One. I like Yingling. Women are amazing.
Let's be clear. Tim Pool has never heard of Youngling before the Bud Light controversy, because Youngling came out and was like, we know what real beer is or whatever. But no, I refuse to believe that Tim Pool had any awareness of Youngling before that. Which, by the way, Youngling, the beer I would drink in high school illegally. So I think I have a right to say I knew about that well before Tim Pool ever did. But no, definitely he never heard about that shit. He only heard about it because they're involved tangentially
building many industries from the ground up. And I was so surprised to learn they were among the first beer brewers in history, said Alana Glazer. After years of treating women like objects, the beer industry has an opportunity to shed more light on just how powerful women's contribution has
cards
been.
that go off.
I'm inspired.
Like
Miller Lite created the space. Blah 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 blah. Dude, whatever, man. Here's what I'm going to say.
What are you going to say, Tim?
People are saying like it's an anti-man ad. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care.
If you think female, woman positive advertising is anti-man, you are. And I mean this in the plainest, the most disrespectful way I can possibly say it. You are bitch made. You are the bitchest, madest motherfucker on this planet. You are not manly. You are not masculine. Turn in your penis. It's over for you.
About this, Dylan Mulvaney's a whole other story. Marketing booze to kids, being generally just nails on a chalkboard, off-putting, gender ideology, leftism, algorithmic decay.
Everything. Just every possible thing.
Look, the argument is it was objectifying to women.
Because the idea that Dylan Mulvaney markets to kids is comical, because you would have to ask, okay, so like, what do you mean by that? Oh, well, they have a lot of there's a lot of kids that follow Dylan Mulvaney on TikTok. Okay, can you give me some statistics on that? Can I get can I get some kind of demographic information? And then you know, when they don't have any, or even if they did, the question becomes, okay, so these kids are on TikTok. Is there a age restriction on certain content creators on TikTok? Oh, there isn't. It's almost like the entire platform, while maybe not always G-rated, but it seems like there's a pretty wide range of G to PG-13 content on TikTok. It seems like kids follow what they're gonna follow on social media. Maybe don't let your small kids get obsessed and fall down the social media rabbit hole. But you know, that would be asking parents to parent instead of hand their kids their cell phones and let them go off on the internet unrestricted, and then be upset when their kids find stuff that they don't want them to find. Maybe if you were a little bit more involved in your children's lives, they wouldn't be consuming content that you're not aware of. It's kind of like it's hard to be a parent in an internet world. I get it; it's difficult, but you wanted to have kids, you had kids. It's kind of what you have to deal with.
And some women were offended by it. And I'm like, okay, whatever, man. If you're a woman and you're like, you want to wear a bikini, nobody made you do it. And now, if you're a woman saying like, we're going to make our own beer, I'm like, okay, it's not demeaning to men in any way. Like, I literally don't care. There's no men being insulted.
Then why are you talking about it?
No, you can do whatever you want.
Then
That's
why
why
are
I
we
just saw
talking
this and
about
I'm
it?
like, that's not that bad. Who cares? It is gross that you're going to compost old advertisements with ink and other chemicals and
It's
preservatives.
compost. You compost shit. What, like composting? There's so many things that are compostable, you moron. Which, by the way, a lot of paper materials are compostable. This is coming from someone who doesn't know anything about compost. Which, if you don't understand the process, then
paper.
sure, whatever.
That's nasty.
But, like,
I wouldn't want to consume that.
Trust me, you're not going to
Fine.
taste it. Also, he
And
does realize that
I think the
this
arguments
isn't
they're making
actually
are
new.
really silly.
This isn't like they just thought, oh, we'll destroy this stuff to compost it. They've probably been doing this, and I'm confident in saying they've probably been doing this with other marketing material for quite a while now. Once they realize, oh, wait, we can compost this stuff and then like reuse our marketing material that didn't sell or didn't get distributed, cool. It's like one less expense we have to deal with.
But ultimately, it's just not a big deal relative to, say, Bud Light and the Dylan Mulvaney controversy. I love this. Bud Light mocked over coupon amid Dylan Mulvaney controversy. I went to
oh my
a liquor
God,
store.
they had a coupon.
I was going skating up in Hagerstown, Maryland the other day. And we stopped by.
I always forget he lives in Maryland. That should tell you everything you need to know about Tim Pool. That he actively chooses to live in Maryland.
A liquor store to grab some Gatorades and big. I'm not a fan of Gatorade.
The Bud Light marketing team must still be all women if they think a coupon will get a man's attention. These dumb fucks. They think it's unique to see like buy this many, get this many free. Like they think that we're done with this because this is gonna get into stupid Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light shit. But they really think that this is new. They think that coupons only began to exist now that Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light have some kind of piffy boycott. Guys, these kinds of promotions have always existed. They just want you to buy the beer. The boycott's not working. Please let it go. It's embarrassing. To all the wingers out there, just let this one go. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. Ay, 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 ay. Anyway. All right. I'm going to reorganize this because let's focus on the people who are, we just saw that person post a coupon as evidence that the boycott's working, I guess. So let's go take a look at how rigorous the minds are of some of these Bud Light boycotters. Let's go take a look, shall we?
What do you think is more dangerous to the country, drag or guns?
Drag for sure.
How come?
Drag
It's
for sure.
poisoning the youth.
How?
That's what's going to run our country. It's scary.
But
Guns?
She, it's Carrie? Like, wait, does she mean like, wait. Go back.
Country, it's scary.
Oh, it's scary.
Guns is
Okay.
my right. I know how to handle them.
Imagine, okay, so we already, like, what's his face? Jon Stewart kind of already settled this debate once and for all. Whenever anybody tells you drag or trans people or whatever are more dangerous for kids, every time you tell them, ask them what the number one killer of children are. Because it's guns. We know it's guns. It's surpassed car accidents at this point. It's guns. Guns are the number one danger to kids. It's not drag shows. It's not trans people. It's not teachers. You know, it's not even, seems like, it's not even, the Catholic Church right now. It's guns. And this lady brings up like, oh, I have a right to wear, to have a firearm, or da-da-da-da-da. I wouldn't, also, by the way, I wouldn't trust this lady with a gun if my life depended on it. But, keep in mind, their idea, the logic that you have to take this through is, I have a right to carry a firearm. You don't have a right to wear whatever clothes you would like. I have a right to carry a deadly weapon, a dangerous, deadly weapon, but you don't have the right to wear whatever you'd like, to wear the clothes that you would like to wear. Actual fucking mind virus. Like this is brainworms. This is fucking brainworms.
I've taken training. I've raised my kids. Guns are our primary. It's our right, our Second Amendment right that I refuse to give up, and many of our people refuse to give up.
Not even just talking about. I'm just talking about.
Keep in mind also, just because you were given a right does not mean that that right is like an actual positive right or good for society. If you had a Second Amendment right to rape children, I would not argue that just because you have that right, you should get to keep it. Just by the basis of it's a right. Like, I'm like, no, that we're not, just because there's an amendment in some old ass piece of paper does not mean that it does not validate the actual merit of that right.
About the danger. You talked about how it's poisoning our kids.
Sorry, I got to turn you down a little bit, Michael.
Citizens and the thugs and the criminals are still going to have their guns. I want to be able to protect myself from a thug or a criminal.
Do you think this woman has ever seen a thug or a criminal? Actually, what am I saying? She saw a black once. So yeah, definitely.
And there's a shooting. I want to be able to pull out and stop.
But you just
right.
said it. If there's a
and how often does that happen?
As far as I can tell, people haven't died from drag, and that's why I asked the question.
You know,
oh, thank God.
Look at the transvestite that went in and did the school shooting. Come on, it's a mental health. It's mental health is what it is. The mental health.
Wait. By that logic, we should ban guns then. You fucking brainlet. You just said, oh, there was a shooting by a trans person. Oh, well, okay. What was the shooters back in Colma? Those are white boys, right? Okay, cool. White boys, white people, no more guns for you. That's the logic that we're working off of here.
And you know, the books that are in our schools. So
the books that are in our schools now.
Country. And Trump is making the change, and he's my president. And Biden, he don't even acknowledge in my brain as president.
What's a bigger problem for America?
You know, almost nothing acknowledges in her brain, to be honest with you. You know, she got kicked in the head by a horse a couple years ago. We're not sure what acknowledges in her brain. The only thing she acknowledges is the tribal chief.
Do you think drag or guns?
Drag.
And why is that?
That is not the voice I thought.
I would not want my kids to be anywhere around drag.
Oh, is it dangerous? That's not the same thing. I don't know if people understand this. Going to a drag show is voluntary. Although I would be interested in the police dragging people to drag shows. That would be really fun.
But what about guns and people, you know, buying them and assault weapons and all the death it causes versus drag, which, let's face it, not a lot of people die from drag.
Well, then I think that's how people get mentally ill with all the drag.
So it's not dangerous now.
Weapons are not going to walk out of the house and kill people. People do it.
So following that logic, drag would make people sort of sick in the head and lead them to get a gun and do something.
I believe so, yes.
I believe that.
So would you like to stop that person? Or better question, can you point me in the direction of a significant amount of violence done by the trans or I guess drag community? Like, what? Oh yeah. You know, you go to the drag shows. I don't know why I keep doing accents. You go to the drag shows and then, and you know, right after, you know, after they do their song and dance and everything, and after they wrap up, everyone grabs an AR-15 and walks out. And usually they try to find some onlooker and then they execute them. I always forget that is the end of all drag shows. I always forget about the mandatory execution at the end of the show.
That people should express themselves how they want, but in the privacy of their own homes. I
Cool.
don't
What
believe
about
that
the
they should
privacy
push
of
it onto
private
people.
property?
And for the question about guns, I believe that we should kind of stick to the Second Amendment.
I feel like putting the wrong thing on
Also,
kids.
keep in mind, this is also the thing about the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is an interpretable, like text. Like the text itself, we've interpreted it in a number of different ways throughout our history, meaning that it's a rather subjective reading how we actually define the Second Amendment. Tomorrow, the Supreme Court could say, "Oh, actually, the Second Amendment only means you have to join a formal militia, and the only formal militias that exist in the United States are National Guards groups." And then, you know, that would make the entire reading that the Second Amendment advocates and allows for the personal and individual right to own firearms completely moot. But, you know, it's just right now we're under a reading that's, you know, that's been very influenced by politics at the end of the day. Like, the reading of the Second Amendment that we have now is not the reading that we had throughout our entire history.
It's especially how they're doing it nowadays, how it's, they put it out as, you know, it's an option, and then, like, they really say, like, this is how you're supposed to be, rather than whether it's like, well, you can fall into this category and be this kind of person.
I have no idea what this person's talking about.
It's kind of crazy now how they're pushing it on them, rather than, you know, just putting it out there as, like, you know, you can act this way if you want to.
Do you see
Oh,
drag,
no, not this guy.
Not
Oh,
gender
no,
issues,
not this guy.
Pronouns, not that. Drag as more dangerous than guns in the country.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's dangerous.
Oh,
Son just gave an uh-oh. What was the uh-oh?
Well,
oh,
so I would say,
my God. I'm vindicated. No, not vindicated. I'm relieved. Somebody actually is being honest a bit.
Because I know I think this happened a while ago back in Texas where they
Back in
actually had
Texas.
drag queen shows, but kids were able to go to them. And
Right. They're called family-friendly
when you
drag
start bringing
shows.
kids into the thing where they don't know reality and they don't know fiction, where they believe in Santa and Santa's not real.
Is
but-
it okay, wait. Is it dangerous to, like, let's be honest here. Do we worry about kids who believe in Santa? Is that something that we worry about our kids in this country? Do you see, like, your across the street neighbor put up a Santa Claus thing in his on his roof, or, you know, they set up a Christmas tree and you stomp over, you know, excuse me, are you teaching your children that Santa is real? That is untrue. They do not understand the difference between fiction and reality. This is not okay. This is grooming the children. Like, no, because that sounds fucking stupid. Kids are kids. All you have to do as an adult, and I know this, I know for parents, this is hard, and sometimes it's awkward having to raise children and educate them. But there is a certain amount of, like, hey, maybe you need to talk to your kids about, like, hey, look, this movie that we watched, it's not real, it's fiction. This TV show you watch, it's not real, it's fiction. You know, like what we're talking about is media literacy, which is something, by the way, that is the responsibility of parents to acclimate their children to reality. That is the responsibility of parents. That is not the responsibility of the state to be policing the reality that parents instill in their kids. I can disagree with it. Look, there are parents who teach their kids to be, like, absurdly religious and fundamentalist in their beliefs. But I don't have a right to tell parents, hey, you shouldn't be able to do that, because they don't understand that what you're instilling in them is a belief, because you teach it as if it's fact when it's not. It's a belief. At best, it's fiction. At best. But, we don't do that. There is no movement on the left that's like, no more Christian kids. No more Christian kids. Like, that's not a thing. So why the fuck are we having this conversation about, like, drag? I mean, fuck, kids go to church. Church is fucking nothing but fiction. It's same exact concept. Whole show with a whole bunch of culty type shit. eating the body of Christ, drinking the blood of Christ, all that shit. But somehow it's drag shows that are dangerous.
Wait a second, what?
But like, this is probably going more into the gender issue, but I feel like drag, it's fine, you can do that on your own, but when you start bringing kids into this thing where it's kind of a little bit more provocative, and now they're like kind of dressing, you know, in these types of ways, it's not really okay for children to be around those things.
And you go to school every day. Would you feel safer if a drag queen walked in to read a book, or if you knew that somebody had a gun in your school?
Well, I think because I go to a private school, so we have a Marine there, ex-Marine that carries a gun, and we have safety precautions. So I'd say someone with a gun, I would feel safer because they are protecting the children in the school, and it would be less.
Wait. Is he really trying to say that he would feel more comfortable if somebody walked into the school with an AR-15 than somebody in drag? He's full of, like, that's cope. That's absolute cope.
For a shooter to happen there.
But when we think about guns, yes, Democrats want to take away guns. They've been at that for a long time. But when I think about drag, it's more the ideology behind it. Even like with biological men who want to participate in women's sports, if we start to okay things like that, where do we stop? And so when you talk about even kind of going against the status quo and that kind of stuff, I just think if we allow this sort of stuff, we set a precedent that, you know, we start here, the longer it goes, the more drastic it can get, the more out of control.
Yeah, and I always hate that argument when it comes to the Second Amendment, because it's always like we can't do any regulation because one day we could get rid of guns. Like, no, they're like, that's not how this works. That's not how governance works. But getting back to what's it called? I want to demonstrate something really quickly where we talk about, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, oh my God, you know, the kids, and the drags, and you know, they're in these outfits, and it's really confusing for children, and it's revealing, and yada 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 yada. And oh wait, no, I know who I want. Would you care if your kid saw this? Is this controversial to you at all? This very non-masculine presenting male. If you know who this is, you know the point I'm trying to make. But there always seems to be this hysteria, I feel like, over, you know, oh, they're dressing in this sort of way, and it's confusing, and it's this, and it's that. And there's like this hysteria over, will the kids be able to understand that drag is just people dressing up, it has to be sexual, and all this stuff. This is a wrestler from the early 2000s. Name, I believe their name was Rico, if I remember correctly. Luckily, yeah. What am I saying? I typed it in. I remember. Their whole gimmick was being coded gay. That was their entire gimmick. And was this something that we had to have an entire culture war over? No, it wasn't. The entire, like, oh, drag and the clothes and the, oh, it's sexual and all this stuff. If you think drag is sexual, I need you to tell me how pro wrestling isn't. That's what I need. I need you to tell me from now on, every single time. Watch. Let's take a look. Only because, let's see. Drag. Also, keep in mind, isn't RuPaul's Drag Race like on what's it called? Like on network television every week? Now, let's see. Who should we pick? I know who to pick. No. Actually, wait. Let me think of a good like wrestling. example here. Maybe. I'm trying to think of like a really. You know what? Oh wait, no. Okay, I know exactly. Who to go with. Where is it? Where is the... Ooh, here we go. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. If you have a problem with this, if you think this is sexual, this is damaging to children, this is whatever. If you have a problem with this because of the harm it does to children, then I need to know why this is not problematic. Why gold dust you probably wouldn't even bat an eye at. This is what I need to know. What makes these two images any different? Any different at all? And even then, I'm being really charitable. I could do, let's see, I could do modern day gold dust if you want. I could be really easy on myself and pick a really easy version. But I'm not, because I will give myself the least amount of leeway with that first one. But seriously, I've been watching wrestling all my life. I've seen more risque outfits, more risque maneuvers, everything, my entire life. And nobody bats an eye, because it's pro wrestling, because it's nobody cares. But suddenly everyone has a problem with, oh my God, there's like, oh my God, they're wearing wigs. Whoa, wigs. They're wearing makeup. Whoa, makeup. Fucking color me offended. Okay. So, right-wingers have a really hard time of being able to kind of explain what's upsetting them and what the problem is, or the problem they have with certain forms of entertainment, certain forms of content, whatever it might be. Oftentimes, they're pretty incapable of kind of explaining the problems they have with something. But there is another side of the political spectrum. It is the left. These are people who ostensibly are able to actually communicate and actually be able to explain the issues that they have with society, with systems and structures, hopefully. Not all leftists, obviously. Not everybody has a background or even necessarily has thought really hard about the structures that we live under and everything, all the other leftist critiques that we usually levy here on this show. But every once in a while, you get these, these fake right-wingers who know what they're doing. They understand the grift that they're running. They understand that, eventually you gotta pull the, oh, now I'm right-wing, because let's be honest, that's where the money is. If I ever go right-wing, let's be really clear about this. So somebody can clip this later, maybe, unless I delete the video or something. But if I ever go right-wing, it's because somebody paid me a lot of money to do so, or I found it to be advantageous to my economic situation to make right-wing content, because that's where the money actually is. But every once in a while, we get these why left the left, videos, and we're going to be taking a look at one more. Every once in a while, I think the last one we watched was that Amir Odom one, which was embarrassing. But unfortunately, these are people who know better, or maybe they never did. I don't know. Usually, I think it's just a grift. But they weaponize their identity, or they weaponize their adjacentness to non-traditional structures, to then be an advocate for those traditional structures. And, you know, usually they also, really interestingly, the minute they go right wing, they seem to have a really, really hard time at describing their issues with movements, with ideologies, with frames of thought. So I want to take a look at another one of these. This is from a channel called Curly Boy Chuck. Now, you know, it is a channel that I feel like I've seen before. You know, their whole thing is, let's see. Their description is, I don't care about cancel culture, exclamation point. I'm on a mission to spread awareness and truth, exclamation point. If I offend you, good. It means I'm not affirming you and instead challenging you to think deeper. Stay tuned for a full rehaul of this channel. So keep in mind, this person most likely, now, you know, I can't know this, but it seems like they took a real turn. We went from, let's see, the first video was 2 years ago about hair products, COVID-19, hair products, some ancestry stuff that's probably centered around their hair, because that kind of seems to be a big theme here. And then the real story of gender affirming care and why it's dangerous. And then, oh, The View loses their mind on Nikki Haley. And then why trans women don't belong in biological female sports. And then, you know, and then it's, well, no, I'm kind of curious. Let's see. 400, let's see. First video, 6.4 thousand views. Second video, 3.3. Third, down to the hundreds. Ancestry thing gets 13,000. Okay. Back down. Ooh, and then, oh, wait, is this the biggest? No, not quite. Yeah, you can kind of see a rise here. We got 5.3 thousand on the trans one, 4.4, 3.8, 162K views on woke trans activist left speechless on Dr. Phil. So yeah, you can kind of see where when you're making as a fellow content creator, you know, what is this? The woke mob strikes again, 18,000. Their biggest videos, the erasure of women, like their biggest videos are all a bunch of, they've clearly kind of given up on doing hair product and makeup or skincare or whatever, and decided, I can make more money doing doing the right wing grift, which, you know what? You do what you want to do, but I'm going to tear apart your videos. But either way, as I was saying, as a content creator, right? You kind of know what works for you, especially when you've only been making videos for what, 2 years? Like, and it doesn't even seem like this person was uploading that often to start with. And then as they kind of turned rightward, got more and more consistent, you know? So this tells me that this is a channel that originally was for, you know, doing hair products, you know, the, what's that one late girl from like way back in the day YouTube, Patus something. You know, you start out doing that and then doesn't really work for you because not really that much engagement you can draw from hair product content. And, you know, it's pretty easy to just kind of do, you know, the right-wing grift. And, you know, when you get 162K views, actually, I want to take a look at this. How many likes do they have on this too? With 6.3 thousand likes and 3,000 comments. I don't have the little plugin to actually see the dislike counter, but you can kind of, you know what works. The same way every time I do a Tim Fool video, I know it's going to get some more, it's going to get a little bit more views than the last thing. And I know that it's going to draw more engagement. You know where your bread is buttered after you've kind of taken the grift pill, one could say. You know where, you know, 162,000, 362,000. You know, 196 on the video we're gonna watch, 79,000 on something else. Assuming that's like 34,000 on a detransition thing. This person has a lot of thoughts on trans people, apparently. But either way, let's take a look at their arguments and see how this plays out. I do not have high hopes whatsoever.
Hey, my beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about a specific topic that you guys wanted me to talk about. The reason why I know this is because...
Oh, wow. Amazing. Well, at least, you know, I think I mentioned, you know, I didn't say it, but the term is audience capture, by the way. This is when your channel is pushed towards a certain ideology or a certain topics or certain frames of covering topics because that's the audience that you build. Or at least that's the audience that's continually coming back to videos. If this person wants to continue to grow, they need to do right-wing content. And they understand that they are now serving the content that these people want to see. And they're serving the opinions that they want to see.
I did a poll on my community tab, and overwhelmingly, you guys voted
Why
for me
I
to
left
talk
the
about
left. Yep,
why
yep,
I
yep, yep, yep.
left
Can I take a look at that?
Not only did I leave the left, but I ran from the left politically. I used to be more left-leaning, and now I'm just more, I guess, centrist, right-leaning politically on many issues.
They're right-wing, by the way. Everyone who says centrist, right-leaning, they're just on the right. Can I see this fucking poll? 11 days. Good God, this person does a lot of... I'm like kind of curious about this poll. Yeah, okay. First of all, let's... Like, come on now. Yep. Like, oh man, they're so... Matt, what are you doing here? The left is losing their minds because Elon subscribed to my... Okay. Yeah? Not open to free speech. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, isn't communist. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this person's a dumb fuck. Okay. Continue.
Social issues. So without further ado, you guys wanted this. So let's talk about why the left is freaking crazy. So
performing trans surgery on children, prescribing puberty blockers, now a felony in Oklahoma.
I grew up more conservative, right-leaning. Just some quick history. My dad
because
is
you
a pastor, and my mom is a worship leader in church. So I grew up constantly around Christian beliefs and just a Christian upbringing. When I was, you know, a kid and of course a teenager, and then of course I entered that phase that we all enter when we start to grow into our own. So I want to say about maybe 21, 22 is when I started to kind of veer away from, I guess, conservative beliefs. And I wanted to form my own, I guess, perspective and opinion on things. Because at that age, you don't really know much. At that age, you have no real experience. And normally...
Okay, so I want to speak on this really quickly. I'm really tired of the, like, this, like, mindset that teenagers or young people have, like, no actual thoughts. As a young person, I was a supporter of Medicare for All by the time I was like 14 or some shit. Like I had already had an understanding that the structure of our healthcare system here in the United States was utterly busted. That was not something that I needed to be like trained on or something that I needed to be like turned to. Like that was already there for me at a very young age. A lot of kids these days especially are getting a lot more politically educated at younger ages because they're on social media. They have access to so much more information, meaning they're learning and maturing in certain kinds of ways a lot quicker than like, you know, even I did growing up. And again, I said certain ways for a reason.
Normally, you're just mimicking your parents or you're mimicking people around you, but you haven't really formed your own educated opinions based on your own experiences at that age. And so I can remember when I first moved to the state of Florida with my parents, and I think I was about, I don't know, 19, 20 years old. And for the first time, I had to get a state ID. And when you do the state ID...
So this person has like never had opinions, is what they're saying.
Or what your political affiliation is. And I remember being at the DMV.
Do you have to get that at the...
Like,
that's weird.
You know, you should pick Republican. But, and I got to give him credit for this, he never pushed me to pick Republican. He literally was like, you know, at the end of the day, do what you want to do what you feel is right for you. But I would pick Republican. But, you know, the choice is yours to make. And at that ripe age, I decided to pick independent. I didn't want to pick...
Whoa, brave.
Democrat because I felt like I wasn't really a Democrat as far as their social political leanings. But I also didn't want
What
to
are
pick
the social
Republican
political
because
leanings?
I wanted to form my own opinions based on my own experiences as opposed to just checking off a box because my family said so, which unfortunately...
Also, let's be honest here. Being a Republican Party voter, like Republican Party voters, and I don't really have a problem with making this as a broad statement. I find generally vote based on their personal experiences. It's a very, to me, it's a very self-centered, self-interested, very self-insular, like party mindset. Like the mindset of the party is one that I think attracts people who are very selfish, who are very self-centered, who are very who aren't very interested, I think, in like data so much as they're interested in what they've experienced, and the experiences that they've had is something that like really drives them. And that's not to say that that's always a bad thing, but the difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party is that kind of very greed is good, selfish, the veneration of the self is very much a value in the Republican Party in a different and unique way than it is in the Democratic Party.
Only so many people do. So at that age, I knew that I wanted to be a free thinker. And that's why I registered as independent, and I'm still a registered independent today.
Free
so
thinker.
At that age, although I picked independent, I still was more right-leaning, but I hadn't really formed enough information to substantiate.
So this person wasn't
really
ever on the left then?
It's what was around me. And as
also I noticed the theme of all these kinds of videos is always a misunderstanding
and you start getting, I don't want to say indoctrinated, but you start
left
being
ideology
influenced by liberal belief systems that you once felt were wrong. Or
well, yeah, it's called being, yes, this is true, and this is the point of college. College is there to challenge your preconceptions and challenge what, like, the ideas that you come into college with should be challenged through your college experience. Absolutely. Your further education should challenge your personal lived experience and should challenge your your biases. Absolutely.
Weren't exactly correct, but it's everywhere. Like, I remember being in classes that had nothing to do with politics or had nothing to do with spirituality, but yet the liberal professors were also eager to talk badly about Christianity and talk badly about Republicans and talk badly about right-leaning policies. And at that age, I remember feeling like a fish out of water. I was like, wait.
Well, if you don't like having those ideas challenged, then don't go to college. I'm saying, like, it is true. A lot of college professors are a lot more liberal, but there is kind of a reason for that. And it's because of the disinterest of Republicans and the conservative movement that they have for attending colleges. They're a lot more into trade schools, I find.
A minute, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to
they
say.
also don't value
normal. Why
what's
they're
the
going
word?
so in on politics in school? It doesn't make any sense. And this is like in the early 2000s. This is like 2000.
They seem to like value a lot of
so back then it was beginning.
Trade schools.
Now, obviously today
it's
it's completely different. It's even more extreme. It's even more liberal. It's even more left wing. But back then
it's
it was
not.
like,
it's the same liberalism it's always been.
Beliefs. And I felt really uncomfortable because I knew that this wasn't right. I felt like this is weird. This is supposed to be an English class and we're talking about Christianity. Doesn't make any sense. But
yeah, that actually, well, wait. If you're in an English class, it actually makes a lot of sense to talk about religion and talk about religious texts because there's a lot of literary references. There's a lot of literary influence that religion has made on not just like Western texts, but texts all over the world. Like religion writ large is probably humans' greatest contribution to like language and like, I guess a frame of how to understand the world. Not when I say greatest, I don't really mean like from a like merit standpoint. I really mean in terms of like broad and like the largest, I guess, influence that we have on all of our literature. Every single piece of literature you can probably track back to some kind of religious or spiritual value. Absolutely. It's important to know this stuff. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, they don't realize how connected everything is on Earth. Like everything, like politics is in everything. There is no, oh, I didn't take a poli-sci class. Why am I hearing about politics? You will always hear about politics. Politics is in our movies, in our literature, in our news, in everything. It's everywhere. Everywhere is politics.
You know, if you talked out against it, then you were the crazy person. And so I remember just feeling this like pull.
If you didn't really have strong arguments,
the left was
you
normal.
just kind of
the
sound
left was
silly.
where logical people lived, and the right were filled
True.
with closed-minded people and all other sorts of names that I can't say because I get demonetized. So that was sort of the foundation of me starting to like.
That's why I don't care about being demonetized.
See the world a little bit differently from
I'm
the
a real
lens of
I'm a
liberals,
real
but not
content
being
creator.
indoctrinated at that point in time. I want to
I don't
say
give a
I then
fuck about
started
demonetization.
to just you know, meet
I
new
don't make any
people,
money.
hear different experiences. I started watching different types of shows politically that gave a different perspective, and little by little, I found myself leaning more and more to the left than where I was
I
prior.
would love to
in the
know what
right,
shows he's
where most
talking
of my
about.
family was. I kind of was just like, I'm gonna go on this side. And I just started to adopt issues that I don't even want to say those issues were dear to me. They were just issues that I felt like I was supposed to be a part of. Because if you want,
What's really funny also, to be honest with you, what I find a lot of times with these why I left the left videos, do you notice that like they're never interested in engaging with the topics, or they never talk about the topics in a really like deep way? Like I think we saw it with the Amir Odom videos as well, where he talks about oh, I went to a Black Lives Matter video and I was really emotional because I was told I was supposed to be emotional. And that's somehow a dig on the left, right? But what's the critique of the left? You didn't approach any of these topics with a critical mind frame, with a critical lens. You didn't think, what is bothering, why are you at this BLM rally? And they'll say like, oh, well, you know, I'm black and they just tell me I should be. Okay. It like, maybe you should interrogate a little bit with yourself why either you have no interest, if what it would take to make you interested. Like maybe challenge that a little bit instead of going along with the group and then getting mad that you never felt part of the group or you never understood it. You just don't, you don't have the mindset. Like, I don't know. It's something you can absolutely learn. It's something people are deprogrammed, you know, out of, you know, a more right-wing mind frame to a more left-wing one. It's something that can happen. We're not incapable of changing our minds, of growing our perspective, but like you have to kind of do the work to actually be a leftist. There is some work involved in that. It's not as simple as, you know, oh, it's just because, you know, there is no version of leftism. There's no thing on the left where people just say it's in the Bible or it's in the Communist Manifesto or whatever. There isn't that kind of dogmatic, just sure, that's just the way it is kind of attitude on the left. So when people like this who don't have a critical like lens or don't critically think about the issues that they're going along with and then are like, oh, here are the problems with the left. You don't understand the left. You don't even understand the things that you are engaging in. Like you just don't get any of it. That's like the most frustrating part, honest to God.
Social change and you want to be a good person, you got to, you know, fight that good fight, right? And I found myself falling for the whole cycle of belief. Identity politics was a good thing. Inclusivity, fourth wave feminism, racism is everywhere. Like all of those things were just like pumped into my head.
Yeah, and this is like a non-understanding of any of those topics.
And on TV and media, and you know, after a while, it just became normal. After a while,
I really wonder a lot of times too how many of these people are just lying about their.
And I remember kind of sitting back and thinking,
like
wow,
involvement in liberal
like,
politics.
I was able to like actually see my change. There was still
because not only that,
me.
liberal politics are not really, especially nowadays, are not left-wing politics. Liberal politics are like Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, who would they're status quo defenders. That's what they actually are. They're not you know, they're not interested in revolution. They're not interested in change. They're interested in keeping things exactly where they are. Their opposition to Republicans is not a pull. It's a hold still while the other team pulls, and you don't challenge them. You try to keep things exactly how they are, but it's
that little
futile.
conservative side of me that was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I always say this: it's much easier.
You were always conservative.
Be liberal in today's world than it is to be conservative. Like
yes, it is,
because you get praised if you're liberal. You get celebrated if you're liberal. You get rewarded if you're liberal.
We get celebrated. Yeah, totally. Being liberal, you get celebrated. Keep in mind, this person is showered with hundreds of thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of YouTube subscribers, all of that. Go look at any leftist channel. They all start out incredibly small. None of them get featured on any of these platforms. We are all just a bunch of broke ass 20s and 30-year-olds trying to, forward discourse. None of us have some network like the Daily Wire. Like, at the end of the day, coming out, there's a reason why this video got the views it did, and this response won't get the views it is. There's a reason for that. There is a reward for coming out and being right wing.
School, at work, in entertainment, everywhere. It's celebrated. And if you speak out against any of those structures, you immediately get called every phobia in the world. And who wants that, right? Nobody wants that. So I was like,
well,
I'm gonna just
then
because it's just easier to be over here.
Make better
I didn't
arguments.
say that literally, but that's what my subconscious was.
Also, the idea that you're like upset because somebody called you racist when you said something racist, then
and I was pretty much
deal with it, argue against it. Same with being transphobic.
When it comes
make
to
a better argument than complaining.
Things of that nature. And unfortunately, I didn't see any nuance with that situation. I wasn't paying attention to actual studies and statistics because when you are
actual studies,
you base everything on feelings first and foremost, and statistics and logic and things of that nature.
We've seen Matt Walsh. What did he say when somebody says studies show X? He just says, well, those studies are bullshit. Is that not? Can I just find that? Oh, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can. Okay, I'm gonna try to find it. I wonder if it's on. Oh wait. Okay, let's see. Can I find it? Oh wait. Okay, I think I found it. Did I find it? No. Ah, damn it. No. I don't know if I can find it. Oh, is this it? Did somebody post it on? No. Damn it. Can people explain this against? God damn it. I can't find. I don't know if I can find the video. Oh wait, I'm on fucking Edge. No wonder. Or on Bing. I really need to switch over to fucking Chrome or something one of these days. I just haven't gotten around to it. I also don't really remember University of Texas. The clip is out there. You can go find it. I'm sure somebody can. I'll see if I can find it in post.
Even in that actual frame, they're like way back there, and I wasn't able to hear any other opinion. I couldn't.
You've never heard a
stand
leftist
Ben
quote a
Shapiro,
study.
I couldn't stand Candace Owens. Like anybody on that in that lane, I could not stand. Right, and then 2022 came, and that's where everything changed. So when 2022 came, I want to say mid 2022 is when I started to question things, and I started to wonder if I was on the right side of things. I started noticing that the political correctness was just getting so out of hand.
What is it? It's
and it was
mid
only happening on one
2023
side,
right now.
my side. Everything was problematic. Everything was
Oh,
an issue.
no.
Everything needed to be changed and erased and redone. And I started to wonder, is this correct? Like, I feel like we're doing too much.
Oh, are they like an
it's
anti-vaxxer?
becoming
I
a
bet they
turnoff,
are.
Like everything can't be problematic. But when you are a liberal, you are in that mindset. And if you question that mindset, you are going against the rules. Dare I say CULT? But that's what it felt like. Then
you do know you can say cult, right? Like you can say cult. You don't have to be a little snowflake and not say cult. Or you could be brave. You have all these fucking subscribers. Just say cult. What's the demonetization anyway? What's demonetization of truth? Also, by the way, maybe I should reach out to this person. I would love to talk to this person. Maybe I will. They seem interesting in the way that they don't understand half of what they're talking about.
At the ending of 2022, I started to
change
see this
content.
uprising of parents who were going to school boards who were really upset about what was happening in the schools. Now, I
What
don't
were
have
they
any
upset
kids,
about?
so I haven't been in school or in the school system in such a long time, especially, you know, elementary, junior high, high school. It's been years. And when I was in school, it was very different than what it is today. So I was assuming that school was the same that it's always been, right? It's school. So when I started hearing about parents being upset and going to school boards and being mad about what was being taught.
This is true. Parents have never been upset and gone to school boards before.
And
This is
all
a
of
new
these, like,
phenomenon.
explicit things. I, in my liberal mind, was like, they're just being, you know, dramatic.
They are being
and they're just
snowflakes.
being
This is true.
excessive, and they're just, you know, pushing right-wing agenda, and nothing's really happening.
Well,
you know, I don't know
no,
why
they're not
so
pushing it. They're
upset.
the
Then
ones.
I started coming across
They're the water.
actual
They're not being
footage of
pushed.
what was being taught
They
in
are
school.
what's
And
being
that's,
pushed.
I believe, is when the light bulb kind of went off for me, and I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute, this is not okay. And I started
What's not
watching videos that were exposing
Watching
the curriculum and many
right-wing videos?
classrooms and the push for this gender ideology. And I
Yes.
couldn't believe it.
Yes. The idea that gender exists, damaging to children. We've found absolutely damaging to children.
I literally was like, this can't be real. Like, this is not actually happening. This is not actually being taught in schools, right? And I looked at the data. I looked at the exposing videos. I started watching more and more videos.
Anecdotal
and I just
evidence.
couldn't
Gotcha.
ignore what was right in front of my face. I just couldn't ignore it.
Wait. But what was? Wait. What did the data tell you though? No. Wait. What did the data tell you? Did the data tell you something, and then you watched videos on TikTok, and then said, you know, the data says one thing, but these videos on TikTok say another? What did you see data-wise that got you to this outcome? Like, that's the question I need to know. Because if it's just, I watched some TikToks, I can't help but go, okay, you saw, is TikTok really the, the journalistic tool that we should be using to drive educational standards and educational, that's what I'm looking for, policy?
And,
is
you know, when it
that
comes to
really
kids,
what we should be
and when
doing?
it comes to a part of our society that relies on adults and they can't make choices of their own, they don't have consent, I get a little bit protective. You know, these kids are innocent and they're being what looks like indoctrinated right now. And the more and more videos I watched, the more I was like,
All
whoa,
kids are
I'm on the wrong side.
indoctrinated. Kids are indoctrinated to believe that 2 + 2 = 4. He does understand that, right? Kids are indoctrinated to not be racist. They're indoctrinated to do everything. Like, what even is this? What is this critique? They're teaching values to children. Yes, that is what schools do. Schools do teach kids to not hit each other, not steal from each other, be nice to each other, and don't be racist to each other. Those are things that schools, those are values that kids are indoctrinated to believe in, because we've found that society works better when people aren't violent, racist, and constantly stealing each other's stuff. It's pretty simple.
Literally am on the wrong side. If they're teaching this type of stuff in schools, in pre-K and 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, I mean, who in their right mind
Such
could
as?
agree with that? I saw this particular video, and this particular
I can't wait to see
video
this.
really upset me,
Hit
and
me
I
with
think
it.
was like the
Hit
tipping
me
point
with
for
it.
me where I was like,
Hit
all
me
right,
with
I'm
it.
done.
And the friend likes to ask the question,
Jesus Christ. Turning that down.
are you a boy? Girl. And Nash answers, I'm just a kid.
But kids can be boys or...
They can be boys or girls.
This is true.
Yeah.
Or maybe non-binary.
Yeah.
Oh
It's a
my
huge
God.
Testament.
Oh my God. Look at these kids. Look at these fucking little college educated CRT fed kids. I want everyone to understand. These kids have a greater understanding of like gender identity, of identity in general, than all of these fucking idiot right-wing pundits. Because it's as simple as this. Kids can be boys or girls or non-binary. Whoa! Did you catch it? Did you notice how one of the one that said non-binary, did burst into flames, you know? Like this is how damaging it is. They're just kids. They're just kids describing the real world. And this is somehow damaging. Tell me how this is damaging. What is harmful about this? They said the word non-binary? Cool. Whoa. Was the world, did this child go on to, I don't know, fucking, like I said, just burst into fucking flames the minute the camera turns away from them? Like, it's not harmful.
Yeah. It's a huge testament
crazy.
to how much we've been talking about it in the classroom. That
Amazing.
You never mentioned the term non-binary. It was
It's
a
probably
child who brought
parent
that up
who
because
asked,
it's constantly
probably
in
a kid who asked a
conversation.
parent. Like that's the crazy part to this person. That's their evidence. That children were like, oh yeah, kids can be boys, girls, or non-binary. It's like a thing. I don't like the idea that you would get upset or you would be like, that's the last straw. How dare children know that non-binary people exist? And that's when you know, it's really when you know that like their level of understanding, their level of interest in understanding other people who are different from themselves disqualifies them from even talking about children. Like, please shut the fuck up. I am so sick and so fucking tired of people like this who are freaked out by somebody who's like, oh yeah, I'm non-binary. I don't really fit neatly into the category of man or woman really like succinctly. And, sticking to one doesn't really, doesn't really present, I think, my full self as I conceptualize me as a person. And their fucking brains explode. They're fucking like, I can't believe this. You would tell me that you don't, how could you teach this to children? How could you? It's like, they're fine. None of them were hurt by this. None of them. If anything, they sounded smarter than your dumbass who's so triggered by it. Like, Jesus.
Left. I was already starting to question things. I was already starting to feel like I don't belong here any longer. But this is what pushed me over the edge.
This is also how we build the They Them Army, by the way.
And other people who were
this is how we do it.
Just wanted to give, facts without all of the emotions. And I found one creator who I absolutely fell in love with.
What are the facts?
I was like, oh my goodness, I love her story. I love her delivery. She's not judgmental. And I love
who's this gonna be? It's gonna Blair White? Blair White? Okay, let's hedge our bets here. Blair White.
The fact that she used to be a liberal and she's coming from the
oh
same
my god,
that
it's got to be Blair.
Person,
it's got to be Blair.
Many of you probably
it's got to be Blair.
Kamala Eknanobi.
Damn it! Oh wait, we watched this girl's stuff. Oh, her videos were shit too.
And I hope I'm saying her last name correctly.
Oh yeah.
Kamala, we know her from PragerU. And I started watching Unapologetic. I started watching her podcast.
Not really much better
at this point
videos
in time, I was
than
still
honestly the rest of
my
PragerU's output.
Journey. And I was moving more towards the right, but I needed just that, that extra push. And watching her videos and her logic and the way that she was able to explain things and the way that she was able to articulate things in a way that I had never heard before. Because again, on the left is all emotions. It's all.
Keep in mind, this girl is media trained and paid to be media trained. So let's also keep that in mind. There is a certain, there is a anti-left industrial complex that is constantly training, paying, and with signal boosting, platforming, astroturfing a lot of these right-wing figures. That's don't be fooled by their done up presentation. The arguments are no different than your average chatter in Twitch or YouTube, but because they're dolled up and, they get these nice platforms. They get a nice, they get AstroTurfs with a couple hundreds of thousands of subscribers and followers and everywhere else by right-wing organizations and operatives. It gives them the veneer of professionality, the veneer of authenticity, the veneer of professionality. It's all bullshit.
Outrage is all, buzzwords with very little substance. And here this woman was, Amala, who was giving so much substance
CRT,
on all of these issues,
woke,
and I couldn't really refute what she was saying. It was making sense. And I was like, whoa.
Bud Light.
She's making sense. What's going on? And then I started watching more videos of other like-minded people that were on the same wavelength that she was on. And it kind of was like a snowball effect. And I got red-pilled. I got fully red-pilled, and I was like, oh my God. Felt like I was like in a cocoon, like I was sleeping for the past 6 years.
Hey, that's Neo.
And all of a sudden, I woke up and I was like, back to reality.
Whoa. We're using a Matrix reference to refer to somebody coming to a right-wing understanding of things. Whoa. Yeah, this is all bullshit. They've never been on the left. They were never part of the left. This is just they're just, let's be honest here, non-white. And if you're a non-white person, you, by definition, you have to make a why I left the left video, because your appeal is to white conservatives. That is where your appeal comes from.
See, back to your roots. And yeah, things just changed for me. I just started to open my mind.
Comment section. Sheesh. I woke up from this pro-trans belief I have about 2 years ago. Yeah, like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, I'm a 68-year-old woman who has lived through a lot of, yep. I was a Democrat until 2020. Sure you were, buddy. Former lifelong Democrat from New York here. Sure you were, buddy. That's like, I voted for Democrats because that was the party in power, and also the party that was guarding my taxes. Let's see. Registered as a Republican, apolitical. Sure you were. In 2008, I re-registered. Still, yeah, in 2000. I wonder what drove them to re-register in 2008. I wonder. Refreshing to keep finding more and more of these. Yeah, I mean, this is the audience for this. I was a liberal. I worked for LGBTQ plus activist organizations. I started to really see the cracks with critical race theory. Yeah, like this is the content now. This is their audience, and if they want to not go back to being a worker, this is what they're going to pump out. That's how this relationship works.
More, I started doing more research. I started actually watching videos that were very informative. I started looking at the data. I started actually putting in the work that I was not doing when I was a liberal. When I was a liberal, I was just being spoon-fed by CNN and all of the, mainstream media what the thought process was supposed to be, and I never really questioned it. Because if you
it's really sad too, because you can really tell that this person doesn't actually have opinions. They just kind of take whatever the last person told them, and that's what they're going to consume.
I felt for that.
Like they, when they were right wing, when they were young, when they were right wing, or when they were around their right wing parents, I should say, they held socially right leaning positions, and then they went to college and they were around liberals, and then they took they drank the liberal Kool-Aid, and then their channel started moving rightward, and they got a bigger audience, and now they're a right-wing content creator. Like, at the end of the day, this person doesn't seem like they really have political opinions or have political convictions and ideology behind any of it. Really, a state of like how they think about things. It just seems like they're like, they just go with whatever group is most recent to them. And it's the right wing. And at the end of the day, the right wing and their viewers are going to be what reinforces this channel. So, that's where they're going to go. They're now a right winger because that's what's going to pay the bills.
I was like, no, I don't care about the judgment. I don't care about the barriers. I don't care about the
labels.
Barriers. What I care about is what feels right to me in my heart, in my mind, and what just seems logical. And what I'm seeing over here,
then why are you like swinging back and forth between right and left?
It's exploitation of children, and I just couldn't be down with that party anymore. I couldn't be down with that mindset any longer. And what I saw over here was logic. Plain and simple logic.
Facts
I also
and logic.
started to see the difference.
What logic?
Between
they're never going
to
explain.
When it came to allowing opinions and allowing free speech and allowing dissension when it came to opinions and arguments.
Also, let's be honest here. The right wing's interest in free speech is so that they can say the N-word. That's why the right wing defends free speech absolutism, because they want to be able to say the N-word.
Have any nuance on these topics. If you don't subscribe to what we believe, then you are phobic. You have an ism, you have a disease, and you need to be cured. That was the mindset of the left versus the right, which was, it's okay if we disagree on some things. Let's talk about it. We hate censorship, so let's talk about it. That was a tone on the right, and on the left,
says the people who are banning trans care, who signed in the Don't Say Gay bill, who don't want kids to be able to know what being non-binary means. Yeah. Right. The free speech party. Gotcha. Also the party, by the way, that's trying to outlaw abortion in the United States and take us back to the Dark Ages. So, just...
It was censorship.
Also,
like literally,
you know what really annoys me also is a lot of times people confuse censorship for pushback. Like,
I was leaving.
If you get pushback, then you get pushback. That's not censorship. That's freedom of speech.
Captive for a very long time. And the moment I left, it was like, oh, I'm free. I got a weight lifted off my shoulders. And now I can speak about things freely. I don't have to be afraid to speak my mind. I don't have to be afraid to say this is wrong. I don't have to be afraid to give my opinion in a very blunt way, fighting for what I believe is right. And I started making content. I started making content on TikTok, and I started blowing up on TikTok.
Yep. And then they got a lot of money to forward this rhetoric. Honest to God, that's what this is. It's audience capture.
Like overnight, it was like my videos were just going viral, and I was like, whoa,
whoa, crazy.
Has just been confirmation to me that I'm on the right side.
I also love the idea that like somebody like this will say, I started making right-wing content and it started blowing up, which means it started doing well for them, probably allowed them to quit a normal job and make TikTok content production their like main source of income and stuff. So keep in mind, like, he's saying like, oh, I went right wing and then it blew up. When what was he saying earlier? That you are punished for being right wing, that you are not rewarded for being right wing. Meanwhile, being rewarded for going right wing. There's a reason why the right wing content creators do so well. And it's because there are organizations, there's a lot of groups interested in forwarding right-wing perspectives online. There isn't that for the left. We don't have the Koch brothers. We don't have the Mercers. We don't have all of these billion-dollar funders. We have whatever the fuck we have. I have a laptop and a monitor, and that's about it. But, Ben Shapiro, all the rest of them, they got all this money to throw around to buy studios, make movies, do everything else. It's just, I don't know what to tell you.
Speak with anger, or like
it's almost like you were rewarded with a blowing up TikTok account.
I spent 6 years compromising on so many things to appease a political ideology, and I'm not doing that any longer. Hopefully I was relatable. I don't know if you guys have your own.
No, not at all. Not relatable at all, except for the hair. I wonder if I could get them on if I like showed them my wonderfully long hair. I wonder if then they would accept like an invitation to come on the show. Because really, like, it's always I just always find like it's just weak people who never had opinions, and we're surrounded by people with strong opinions. Which, let's be clear, leftists with strong opinions, kind of annoying. I'm included in that. But, like, when you don't actually have ideas, that's probably pretty intimidating. And you feel like, oh man, all these people like know all this stuff and I don't know anything. And instead of being like, well, maybe I should like learn some stuff, you just turn around and go, nope, it's too much. The bar is too high to be a leftist. But again, they're never part of the left. They went from being right wing to being far right wing. That's pretty much it. We got another one here. I grew up in California and identified as a liberal because when you live in California, that is how you are influenced to think. Well, if you're weak and don't have your own opinions, then yeah. And say is this, welcome back to the brink. You pulled away from the edge of intellectual oblivion. Had enough. Oh man, yeah. Another one of these. Oh God. Okay. Okay. So this person seems to be really, really concerned about the existence of non-binary people and trans people by evidence that, like, you know, the idea that a child would identify the fact that people are non-binary is somehow weird, dangerous. What? I'm not really sure. For whatever reason, that's like bothersome to them. I still don't get why. But either way, let's move on from them to good old Ben Shapiro, probably somebody that they now, watch and will probably be interested in getting a deal with, or maybe showing up as a guest on, so they can be the token non-white person to come on with long curly hair to tell people why the Republicans are all right and Ben Shapiro's right about every issue, all the rest of that stuff. Let's go take a look. Apparently Ben Shapiro is upset about a selfie. Man, there is snowflake activity, and then there's fucking snowstorms.
Alrighty, so Men's
Christ
Health.
above.
You know, that's a magazine about men and their health. So it makes perfect
Yeah.
sense that Elliot Page, who is a woman who believes that she is a man and then had some surgeries to remove her breasts.
Are we still doing this? Are we still doing this, Ben? I said this a million times whenever I did the Matt Walsh videos. Gender and sex are not different. Gender is your presentation, your outward social presentation to society. Sex is your biology. Men's health is about health for people who identify as men. It's not called male health, it's called men's health. There's a reason for that. Yeah. And Ben knows this. That's why I'm going to say this once, and I'm not going to say it again. Ben already knows this. He's already copped to this understanding that gender and sex are not the same thing, but it's the only real way for him to argue about it, or to make any kind of not even halfway. I mean, it's the only way you can make an argument about this is if you don't believe that those two things are separate, which they are. So anyway, continue. I'm not saying it again.
Has now been featured by Men's Health.
Cool.
Elliot Page put up a picture of herself having had her breasts removed. Now, normally when women have their breasts removed, it's because they had some sort of cancerous growth in the breast area. And so there's something quite tragic about a woman literally having the breasts cut off of her.
Okay.
And put out a statement on Instagram.
That
Dysphoria
would be
used to
tragic.
especially rife in the summer. No layers, just a t-shirt. Or layers and oh so sweaty, constantly looking down, readjusting my oversized tee. It feels so effing good, soaking in the sun now. I never thought I could experience this. The joy I feel in my body. I'm so grateful for what gender-affirming care has allowed me. I look forward to sharing more.
You know, I'm just going to say it. Elliot Page looks more like a man than Ben Shapiro ever has. I'm just going to say it. Just be honest about this one, folks. Ben Shapiro, a little twerpy, little manlet. I would not pick Ben Shapiro in a fight against Elliot Page. Not once would I.
By Journey soon. #transjoy. Yeah,
Is
there's
that
nothing
why
that
he's
says
like
joy
so upset
quite like
with Elliot
cutting
Page?
off
He
parts
feels
of yourself and taking heavy doses of hormones.
he feels
and then
insecure.
possibly
Probably,
having a
right?
fake
Actually,
penis
let me throw
strapped
that
to
away.
you.
I'm gonna end it.
That sounds like pure joy, as opposed to getting the mental health help that you need in order to adjust to your own biology. But Men's Health.
Whoa, Ben. Ooh, that's actually an interesting one. So the idea that you would get mental health to adjust to your natural biology, right? That is, while for a long time that was kind of the way in which we would treat a lot of this stuff, and one would think, okay, yeah, like, you know, if your mental conception of yourself does not fit your biological development, we need to adjust that. But that's actually not the world we live in anymore, right? You can't, if you're a woman with really overly like just absurdly large bazongas, right? You cannot adjust your mentality to fit your biology. There is no amount of thinking that are going to make your boobs not massive and probably doing damage to your spine, right? we have surgeries that can adjust these things, that bring somebody more in line with either their mental state, or even, one might say, or even to make them feel more comfortable in their own body. There's no reason why, once science develops, once surgery has developed to a certain point, why people shouldn't be allowed to do this. I actually find it kind of interesting because I guess there's always the I feel like Ben Shapiro and guys like him feel like we live in a cyberpunk like dystopia where people are hacking off limbs to install new limbs and new spines and all sorts of weird shit like that, right? Like, I feel like that's what Ben Shapiro envisions when he thinks of trans people, when he thinks of these kinds of surgeries. But it's not. We're not even at the point of transhumanism when it comes to technology and stuff like that. We're just in the phase of what can we adjust for people to make them feel better inside their own bodies? And is that good? Is it bad? I tend to believe that it's somebody else's body. It ain't my business. The same way it's not my business if some woman gets a boob job to reduce her breast size because it's painful to her or whatever. The same way that's not my business. It's not my business if Elliot Page wants to also get surgeries to do the same thing for their own reasons. It's their body. They get to do what they want. At the end of the day, there's a certain amount of freedom that I think people should have over their own bodies.
There's an entire piece about the magic of being Elliot Page, again, one of the great heroes of our time, and the star of movies like Juno, where amazingly a man in a woman's body played a woman who was pregnant, but now we have to go back in time and pretend that Elliot Page was the star of Juno. Anyway.
What?
Elliot Page has opened up about how gender dysphoria used to affect his body image.
I mean, if they change their name to, I'm trying to think of if Bruce Willis changed his name to, I don't know, fucking Mark fucking I don't know, Mark Johnson, right? In 2005. Would you say, oh yeah, would you say Mark, what the fuck did I say, Johnson? Would you say, oh yeah, Mark Johnson was in Die Hard? Or would you say Bruce Willis was in Die Hard? You'd say Mark Johnson, because then you would go, the person you're talking to go, wait, who's Bruce Willis? And then you go, oh, Mark Johnson now was Bruce Willis back then, but he changed his name or whatever. Isn't Nicolas Cage's, isn't Nicolas Cage not his real name? Isn't that a stage name from, if I remember correctly? People have, it's not that hard. It's not that you're pretending. It's that it's literally just a easy way of, so somebody knows who you're talking about. Again, Ben knows all of this. He knows all of this.
And how he is so much happier since undergoing top surgery. The Umbrella Academy star, who publicly came out as a transgender man in 2020 after being a lesbian woman and then gender non-binary, and now has made the full transition over to man, apparently, because this is how manhood happens. And the typical process of puberty is a boy becomes a girl, becomes a man. That's how it usually works. Recently shared a shirtless selfie to Instagram in which he proudly shows off his top surgery scars, accompanied by a caption about the joy of feeling more comfortable in his own skin.
Or even that's a normal...
I've never worked out more in my life, he said in 2022. Working out always felt like such a conundrum because it didn't feel good. I walked and I hiked, but that was it. The experience of being in my body now is so different. I'm absolutely hooked. The feeling of being really engaged with it, present, pushing it, getting stronger, gaining weight. It's thrilling. I feel like a kid doing it.
Dude, Elliot Page is Elliot Page is in the fucking gym, just fucking pumping iron, just fucking 45, 245s on both sides, just sweating it out. And Ben Shapiro over here is sitting in the corner with yarmulke in hand rolled up, sitting down, knees front, and just is oh, that's not a man. Oh, I'm a real man. Oh. Dude, get over it. Get over yourself.
You know,
just say you're insecure. It's okay.
Is I'm not sure I've
why
seen a
are you
lot
wearing
of
this fucking also
more
yeah,
sexist things
why
than the
is
idea
Ben
that women
wearing
feel terrible
like
working out, but men
this-
feel like amazing working out, as opposed to everyone feels
this
terrible working out
fucking
until you get good at it.
like fucking
Being happy and proud in his own body says
at
Men's
the
Health.
beach
By the way, if
suit
Men's Health wants to
jacket.
destroy its own brand, this is a great way of doing this. This is basically the equivalent of Bud Light promoting Dylan Mulvaney. Being happy and
Too bad Bud Light's doing fine and it's all coke.
proud
Too
of his
bad.
own body has
That's
also meant that
unfortunate.
Page feels good about sharing it with the world. And he has become something of a thirst trap maestro in the last 2 years, flaunting his
True.
lean physique and cut abs in a series of shirtless selfies. Thirst for whom? For whom? Who are the people who are thirsty for this? Precisely.
People who
But this
like
is
men.
the world that we have. Again, I keep saying this is the world we've created for ourselves because it is. And it's sad and pathetic and frightening. But sure, I mean, this seems like a civilization with a future, a purposefully sterilizing civilization. It seems like we're built for the long run. Durability is the name of the game here. You've seen the CEO of Innovation Refunds and Get
For
Refunds.
fuck's sake, Ben, how many fucking ads do you need to do? God damn, you all do so many ads. You all talk about natural this, natural that. All it is ads.
In the show are now going to promote trans nonsense. Apparently, Blue's Clues, you know, like the show for 3 to 5 year olds. Apparently, they are now promoting pride nonsense.
Wait, what are we? Oh, are we off the topic? Oh, I guess we are. I guess that's all Ben had to say. Okay, well, I wasn't sure how long that would last for, but yeah, there's only so long you can rage about somebody else's selfie. Does Ben know that you don't have to, like, you're not required to follow Elliot Page on Instagram? He is aware of that, right? It's kind of interesting that, like, you know, he clearly is still following, you know, Elliot Page and raging every single time he posts some jacked ass selfie. But what can I say? When you're an insecure little man baby, manlet, then you know, you know, when you see real men pumping iron, when you see a real man pumping that iron, getting that sweat in, building them abs, you're intimidated. So I understand it. I get it, Ben. I get it. It's okay, man. It is okay. Just, you know, just leave it to the real men, all right? Just leave it to the real men. Ben Shapiro's probably more upset that he's not on Men's Health. Or was it fitness? No, it was Men's Health. It was Men's Health. But, oh my goodness. Ay, these people. Okay. Oh my goodness. We're going to make it through everything today. That's good. I feel good about that. Let me check. Cool. No, stop. Okay. Do that. Okay, good. All right. So you're probably wondering a little bit, Josh, why are you doing an FD signifier segment? Isn't he on the left? To which I would answer, yeah, I'm actually not really doing a critique. I mostly want a platform, you know, even though I'm much smaller, but I also want to kind of comment a little bit on his fireback at Killer Mike over, when was this? This is like a couple days ago, yeah? I think it was last week, yeah. So last week, rapper Killer Mike, one half of Run the Jewels, came out with some really cringy. Can we find the clip? I'm kind of curious. Ooh, okay, let's see. Can we find to college students? Okay, is this the video?
I speak at colleges often, and when I speak at black colleges,
Yes.
when
Okay.
I speak at white colleges, it's a slightly different message. The message that I preach to white kids that are in Tallahassee, that are in Atlanta, Georgia Tech, that are in places like New York, is get outside the college environment, find a child who is marginal or doing exceptional in school, who's a
March
minority,
7th?
who doesn't look like you, not of the same religion, not of the same background. Help that child matriculate into college. Help them by being a big brother, big sister. Help them by mentoring them. Don't give them gifts. Don't make yourself feel good. Like, hey, I gave them a new pair of sneakers. Teach them the path you were taught to help them become a successful human being. What you're going to get out of that experience
I really
is
hope the
another
song is
human
not
being that's taking full
DMCA'd.
advantage of an educational system that can help them in their community. But more than that, it grows you as a human being to have empathy and apathy for someone who doesn't look like you, is culturally not from your background. I
don't know.
speak at
No, damn it. That's not the one I wanted. God damn it. on voting. I don't know if I can find the. I think he plays it at some point. We'll kind of go on his, because this is all clipped up also. But let me make sure I didn't get a message from YouTube about the music. Okay, I did not. Okay, good. I was like, oh shit. Okay. Anyway, on to where I was. Okay, so FD Signifier, came out kind of talking about Killer Mike. I think it's an interesting conversation, interesting topic. So we're gonna watch it, shall we? Let's get into it.
All right, that's gonna have to be good enough.
Also, I guess he does streams. I did not know this.
So basically, I'm recording. This is a B-sides real quick because
These
I
are
had
his,
one I was
like,
working
streams
on
and
already, and
what he
I'm gonna
calls
just be
B-sides.
annoyed to not have it updated with the last couple of hours, half a day's nonsense. So, Killer Mike, who is a part of a topic that comes up in my next video, came out. Killer Mike is a hip hop legend. He is also for the last several years, up until the last couple of years, for the last decade and a half of Killer Mike's relevance, he has been one of the most vociferously, aggressively revolutionary rappers in hip hop, like to a level that really hadn't been seen before. It's was inspiring, has been inspiring. Hopefully still will be inspiring. Like, the music hasn't changed, but Killer Mike's public persona has got closer and closer to radical centrist territory ever since Bernie lost in 2016. And every other time he pops.
Also, okay, so let's speak on that really quickly. There was kind of a wave of, I think, a lot of people heading towards the, I think, centrist lane after Bernie's, after Bernie lost the primaries in 2020, there was this, I think, disillusionment from the broad, left coalition in the Democratic Party. These are going to be kind of the split on Bernie or bust, between Bernie and busters, and begrudging Biden, Biden supporters. Mainly because after your political leader is eliminated, the question comes next of what's the next step? What do we do now? How do we respond to our leader being, basically taken out of the race? And for me, it was, I wasn't making content. I wasn't doing videos. I was just working as a normal person. And for me, it was, all right, Bernie's out. We're voting for Biden. And, it's not really a lot I can do about that. Not going to be voting for Trump at all, and not going to be not voting, because not voting is really not, in the state of Colorado, we're a pretty safe blue state, but again, too many people think it's too safe and things don't work out. So, you got to kind of be careful with that stuff. But, point to that saying, amongst people who are much bigger figures than I am now and much bigger figures back then, there was the discussion of, all right, well, do we ride with Joe, or are we getting off? Is this the stop we're getting off of? Are we getting off of on Sanders Avenue right now? And I just think at the end of the day, electoral politics is all about winning elections. Meaning, if you're going to abandon it, the minute your very specific candidate is out in a two-party system, I think that's a bit irresponsible. And mostly not irresponsible in terms of individuals. I think if you're an average person, you're going to vote however you're going to vote. But I do think that for content creators, for people who speak to a lot of people, it is imperative that we as public figures, as much as people hate the word influencers of large groups of people, do so in a materially advantageous way. Not in a, we can't always be pure the same way an individual voter can be. That's not a lane that we can occupy anymore. That's my general thought on that.
pops up, he says something that gets on my nerves and it hurts inside, because this always happens with, how many more of my heroes am I gonna have to bury before I die myself? Is the question I have. Like the last decade has been just a consistent funeral procession of all the black men I admired and loved growing up.
Yeah. Yep. I can feel
yes,
that.
the backslide into centrism. So let me. Here's the gist of what he said.
And this is the thing: the idea that it's a backslide is, I think, kind of an emotional one. I think it's this idea that falling back to the next logical position is a concession, and it's not, and it doesn't have to be. But recognizing that when you're out of the race, you're out of the race, and you need to come to terms and recognize that. And at the end of the day, I think there's something to be said about knowing when you're out and falling behind the next best candidate. There is, and again, when it's normal people, it's different. But when it's public figures, there is a responsibility to deliver rhetoric that gets you towards the most positive outcome, I think.
He basically gave a very turning point USA, Thomas Sowellian, Ben Shapirian engagement with how black people solve their own issues. And there is a context in a situation wherein what Killer Mike has to say does not get me to blow a gasket and start angry tweeting, right? He says, I talked to these young men. I told them to get a trade, get married, live below their means, invest in property and stock and something else. I don't remember what the fifth thing was, right? And if I am a regular dude talking to another regular dude in the privacy of my own home, or in private company, or in like a venue, right, where it's not going to be made into content, and I don't have to think about the greater ramifications of this discussion out of context of the reality of black issues, I wouldn't be like going live all of a sudden to talk about it. I wouldn't have done that. It wouldn't be my thing, right? I wouldn't be tweeting about it, because within, and this is what's very frustrating about other people that have now involved themselves in this conversation. Within black spaces and black communities, Killer Mike did not say anything niggas haven't been hearing for the last 50 or 60 years. He is not saying anything special under those circumstances. It's not that deep. That's not new words. That's only new words to white conservatives. That's only some shit that white conservatives and black conservatives like to retweet
Damn it,
and
I can't
share
find the clip
and toss out there, whenever black people try to engage with the larger issue with solving black people's issues.
Also, keep in mind, okay, so let me speak on this now, because I was looking for the clip, but I can't quite find it on Twitter. The problem that FD, I think, is having with Killer Mike, and based on the characterization, I've seen the clip before, but I just can't find it. But I remember it being very like, yeah, no shit. Like, oh, really? If, black people need to, individuals should be doing these things. Well, that's really nice and all. But unfortunately, especially when we're talking about like black specific issues, there is I think, there is a necessity when talking about black issues for a systemic and structural approach to everything. And the reason for that being is that when you live in communities where the system and the structure is what is bearing down upon you, meaning the structures of white supremacy, the structures of the criminal justice system, the systems of oppression that bear down on you, the ones that keep you in bad neighborhoods, keep your neighborhoods underfunded, keep your schools underfunded, all of these things. There are so many things that compound on top of living in these communities, right? And to offer individual solutions like get good credit, buy crypto or something, I don't know. You know, any of these, like take these 10 steps. Not everybody, A, can take those steps. Not everyone, B, are going to take those steps or have the opportunity to take all of those steps. And C, taking those steps, doing the 10 things to achieve greater wealth will work for one in what? Every 100, every 1,000, you know, how many people? Like wealth creation is not, what's the word I'm looking for? It is not reproducible. There is no one clear, 100% irrefutable way to make it in America. There are ways to kind of cobble it together. There are a lot of overlapping ways, but a lot of the overlapping ways and a lot of the traditional ways depend on your ability and access to, or more appropriate, your access to traditional means. Meaning, like, you know, you can say get good credit, right? But what the fuck does that mean? If you can't get a good credit card or you get a predatory credit card because that's the only thing you're offered, sure, can you use it responsibly? Yes, you can. But if you fuck up once and use that card when you shouldn't, this and keep in mind, everybody uses their credit cards when they shouldn't. You're going to pay a larger price if you are in a more desperate situation than the normal average, than another person, than people in the suburbs and white boys in the suburbs getting their first credit cards. You just simply will, because these are the structures that keep these communities where they're at. And offering like you tell like any kid from the burbs, oh, get good credit, invest in property, whatever. They understand all of these things, and they have an understanding that if they, they go to their parents, they go, oh yeah, invest in property, own the house, you own some land or this or that thing, or maybe a business, whatever. But that's not going to be the experience, and those aren't going to be the resources that are available to Black communities, unfortunately. So it's like it's a solution that one person will benefit out of even 100, we'll say, to be charitable, but it does not fix the other 99 people in that equation. And you'll never get all 100 out of 100, but that ratio needs to be addressed. The idea that, if Black people just did all the things white people did, they'd be fine. Well, you know what? Black people have been doing a lot of the things that white people have done. They've bought houses. They've gotten jobs. Ever since the end of slavery, Black people ostensibly are supposed to be equal to white people. But somehow we still see the structures, the system bearing down on them. We still see the predatory police forces in some of these communities, arresting Black people for possession that isn't unique to their communities. It's just, these are things that we need a structural fix for. An individual fix is good for if you're talking to one person. That's the advice you give to one person. It's not the advice you give to an entire race of people inside a country of millions. It's just, it's not a million people solution. It's a couple hundred people solution, if that.
Right? So whenever you do that, it's frustrating. Whenever you do that, if you're seen to be a leader,
and Killer Mike knows this. That's also the frustrating part. Killer Mike understands.
It's frustrating because it is not your job to repeat
versus,
shit we already know. The same shit that white conservatives
structural critique.
Want you to
He
say.
Understands these things.
Because white conservatives, because the average Black person Like you talk to, it don't got to be no super left. They ain't have to have read no Huey P. Newton. Oh, he quoted Huey P. Newton to support this, by the way. We'll come back to that though. You wouldn't have to have read no black left nothing, no like mid black nothing. You didn't have to read any type of major black political thought to land on the very mild take that you'll hear in black communities, which is racism is a problem and black people have to also work amongst themselves. This is not like some type of deep truth. We know this shit. It is a well-established reality for black people. You're not going to walk into any black barbershop and find someone saying, yeah, we'll never talk about black people inter-community issues. We're going to only talk about systemic racism. No. When I worked with black children in black schools that were underserved, and I had black parents coming through my office who were alcoholics, who were in the system, whose kids were being systematized because of their addiction issues or because of their behavior. When I was in courts and talking to black children who had gotten caught up on charges.
Yeah, he makes a good point there. I just thought about that. Like the idea that this isn't that like, oh, buy property, all the rest of them. The idea that that's like a new concept also is absurd. It's absurd to think that, like, because it's the thing that we've all, like, ask anybody, oh, you know, like, what are some ways to, like, make, oh, you own a business, you own some property, you do this, you invest in the stock market a little bit, you do that. Like, this isn't really new information. It's not new information for the community either. It's information that, like, you know, PragerU and the rest of them go, well, you know, they go, black people just hang around and never talk about economics and never talk about, you know, all they want to do is talk about systemic racism, and all they want to do is talk about Jordans and basketball and rap music and shit. And it's like, no, like they're just as broad, and there's just as much broad depth to like black thought leaders as there are white thought leaders or any other kind of thought leaders. The difference is always, you know, what gets attention and what ends up becoming like basically the myths going forward. And you know, he mentions Thomas Sowell earlier, and yeah, that's like Sowell is the guy who comes in and says, yeah, black people only talk about the things that white racists say they talk about, when it's bullshit. It's utter bullshit.
Because dumb charges, gun charges, theft charges, assault charges. I didn't sit down with these little boys and say, yo, you know, the real problem is white supremacy. I didn't do that shit. Because that's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And the
like,
fact, and the
if
the
you're
fact
talking
that,
to somebody,
like,
you can give them that
liberals and
advice. But if
moderates
you're
and
talking to
conservatives
black
like to
people,
throw that
it's
out
structural.
as a thing is why we have smoke for Killer Mike right now. Because in the moment, within community, you will not find too many black folks that don't want to talk about or take issue with black behavior. We know this shit. What is not established, what is not talked about, what does not have a good level of analysis or representation in our politics and media is how all of those issues of behavior are directly tied to systemic and structural problems in black spaces and black communities. That is what we don't have. So when you hear people like me and the rest of Cornbread Troop and a bunch of white folks talk about structural issues, is because that's the thing we can't get over the fucking hump with y'all. That's what's missing from the conversation. So no, I'm not going to tokenize myself and talk about personal responsibility with motherfuckers that don't want to admit that systemic racism is a thing.
Yeah, and personal responsibility is, again, it's personal. The only time personal responsibility is even interesting to talk about is if you're talking to your buddy on like the fucking porch or some shit, and you guys are yucking it up about whatever the fuck. Like there is personal responsibility is not a solution for millions of people. That it's just not. It's not a way to address those issues. And like the issues that the black community in the United States face aren't personal decision issues. They all stem from a structure and the forces of that structure influencing people. You know, I think I've said it before. When you're a felon, right? When you get locked up and you're a felon, when you get out, even if it's for something like really minor, like possession or whatever, right? It's really, really fucking hard to get a normal, good paying job. And you know what world felons live in? They live in our world. I'm able to get a good, normal job. I don't have a criminal background. I don't have a criminal history. I don't have any of these. I'm able to get a normal, good job. And it is still tough to make it in America. I can't afford a house. So imagine if you had the barrier of being a former felon, not being able to even access the good jobs. What are your options? Your options are be poor the rest of your life. And I mean, like, you're fucked, buddy. Poor. The rest of your life and be stuck in poverty, working shitty jobs because you got caught up for possession 10 years ago. That's one of your routes. Your second option is to join the illegal economy, which is to say, if you want to be a drug dealer, if you want to be, you want to do any of the illegal work out there, that's the only fucking way you're going to get to pay the bills. Because these communities have been stripped of resources, and because there aren't legal economic pathways for people, the only competing pathway is an illegal one. And at the end of the day, if you're telling me I need to get food on my table, go deal some drugs or go work at McDonald's, if McDonald's is going to pay me worse, I'm going to deal drugs because that is the economically smart decision. The system of how we treat felons, and if we felonize something basic like marijuana possession, which we did during the drug war, it's no wonder people are unable and stuck at a hard ceiling, stuck working. Their best option is working at McDonald's in terms of legal work. A lot of places won't even hire people who are former felons. But that structure keeps them in that position.
I'm not going to do that. So it's frustrating when Killer Mike, Run the Jewels, Killer Mike, Kill Your Masters, Killer Mike, Take Over a Jail, Killer Mike, Landlord, Killer Mike.
True.
Black Capitalism, Killer Mike. It's frustrating when Killer Mike, a black conservative that black people actually listen to, comes through with this nonsense.
I don't think he's a conservative. I think that's a stretch.
And yes,
it is nonsense.
It requires a critique. And
certainly black
if you don't understand, just for those who don't, if you don't understand how there is no way to solve black people's problems without massive, what's the word I want to use here? Be careful. There is no way to solve black people's problems in America.
I'm assuming he wanted to say reparations, but I understand why he didn't.
And economic change. There's no way to do it. If black people do not organize and resist and engage and find ways to seize the levers of power politically and economically in this country, if we cannot mobilize, all of black people will never change. There will always be a handful of black folks like a Killer Mike, like myself, wealthy YouTuber, FD Signifier, famous wealthy YouTuber, FD.
Yeah, and if you don't fix that, you can be one of the 100. But what do you do for the rest of the group? Are they just fucked? Do we just never solve those problems? Like, the only way through you know, through and he's gonna mention it here most if I remember correctly. The only way you shift black folks into this upper middle class, well educated, you know, I think it was the what is it? It's the talented 10th. The only way you really grow that group of folks isn't to address the systems. You just simply keep reproducing these wealthier families until eventually, you know, you just gentrify the entire like culture basically. You know, you would need Killer Mike and people of his economic background, like his kids, you know, their economic background, to continue to reproduce that wealth. And eventually, you know, the poor black people will be a thing of the past. But it will only take, what, couple hundreds of years? It will only take us not fixing the lives of people right now, which is something we can do. It's something we can do. We don't have to leave these people behind. We don't have to leave anybody behind. We just have to address the structures.
Signifier according to destiny. There will always be a handful of black people that were born lucky, that had access to the resources, or were just hyper talented, the talented 10th. There will always be black people that make it there. There will always
same way there's always people everywhere, and like for every other race,
of black people,
there's always that group of people that are hyper talented, everything else.
Class in America's capitalist system will never make it by themselves. It will never be a bootstraps LLC, start you a business,
because the game isn't fair.
Buy you
That's
a
also why,
stock,
you know,
moves for black people to get us out this situation. It does not work.
There isn't an amount of crypto.
Literally doesn't math in that situation. I will leave some videos and some readings in the description to explain it. I'm not going to explain
Did he drop these
right
actually?
now. The short version is the numbers literally do not add up. If you are black and you are wealthy, or even just making good money in America, you are doing it two ways. You have found access to white capital, or you are exploiting black people. That's it. I'm sorry. That's the reality of the situation. You are either a landlord in the hood, or you found a way into a white institution to get some money. Right? You made. Let me back away from that a little bit. There's always been entrepreneurs in black communities that have made good money because they opened up, you know, a handful of barbershops. Shout out to some people in my family, because you know they came up with a service or a situation or a hustle. Shout out to a lot of black folks. Black ingenuity, entrepreneurship is still a thing, but the type of money that's needed to uplift an entire nation of black people.
Yeah, that's like a neighborhood. Like there's the dude in the neighborhood who owns like a couple businesses, or even a group of people that own businesses in any neighborhood. And sure, those people might be at the top, but like, again, that's one community. That's what, a couple hundred thousands of people, maybe, depending on the region. You know, what we need is, again, and I've said it before, I've said it multiple times now, but it's a larger, broader systemic change that we need.
Does not exist. It does not exist. The Greenwood Bank that Killer Mike and his homies promote is a white-owned bank. It's a white-owned bank, and the money goes to white people. They get to control and make some and take opportunities to take some of that money and divvy it out to black folks with good enough credit for their own business ventures. Dope. I might get me a Greenwood car. It is what it is. But the idea that a Greenwood bank is going to save black people through capitalism and economics is bullshit. The math doesn't matter, right? Imagine trying to leave a maze without recognizable patterns. That's what it's like analyzed with no systemic analysis. Yes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if I want to be gracious,
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I had
to kill my truth. That's the truth. Their situation can get better through access to resources, a little bit of. He'll be on YouTube like mine. What were the things you told the children you served? Certainly you didn't tell them, sorry, situation won't change the system dance. Of course not. But that's not my job in the moment. That's the truth.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. Okay, I was just kind of curious with this donut.
That's the truth. Their situation can get better through access to resources, a little bit of luck, a good judge that's not gonna throw the book at them, and some hard work. But as soon as they get over and get out the situation, there will be someone in their place. And that's the thing people don't like to engage with. People make
Also, it's also kind of like, think about it. There is no predatory system that bears down on white communities, is there? Think about any any gated suburb community, and then think about some kind of trailer park community, right? All, but both of these kind of stereotypical white white communities, right? Are there systems that are bearing down on any of those, besides one is economically thriving and the other is not really? Are there, like, what are the things that are bearing down on those communities that are specific to that group? Because for white people who live in like trailer parks, right? For those people, they are poor, same way black people are poor in the hood, but that's kind of it. They face the same economic what's the word I'm looking for? Economic situation, the same economic struggles, but that's kind of it. If those people, if those white people from the trailer park ever, got good jobs, they applied, they got some good jobs, maybe somebody went to college, they were able to get a house, all the rest of that stuff. There's no redlining to keep them out of nice neighborhoods. There's not a history of being passed up because of your name. If you have a white sounding name in college tuitions, there's not a disproportionate or should I say, there's not an unequal, there's not like a pay gap between white people and white people. These structures are in place to it. We describe it a lot as like racing, right? If you're like running like a marathon or whatever, it would be as if you are white, you are in the inside lane and your lane is paved. It is whatever the fucking length is for a, 100-meter dash, we'll say. Your lane is paved, it's flat, it's well painted. And then you go over to the black lane and it is not paved, it is not painted well. There's like all sorts of dings and cracks and potholes in the damn thing. Even though it's the same length, even though it's still a 100-yard dash, there is still these systems that keep the white lane equal and equitable for them. Even if you're poor, there aren't those same structures. Even if you're poor, if you're white, you can work hard and kind of make it. There aren't these same, these structures that bear down on you are the ones that bear down on you for being poor, but not for being white. Whereas for black folks, again, there was redlining for a long time, even though now that's not as common. Well, it's not as official nowadays, but there are still, I've read stories of, black families moving into suburban neighborhoods, and then, what's the word I'm looking for? And then, housing evaluation went down. The prices of the homes around them starts getting dinged because now there's a black family next to it. These are things that happen. These are structures that push against the ability for black people to just compete in the economy, compete in our society.
Make it seem like I'm a downer for keeping it real. Facts over feelings, right? I'm not trying to be a downer, y'all. I'm not trying to make people give up and feel bad. I'm just telling you what's bullshit and what's not. And if you pay attention to my content and you've watched, like I got 700,000 views on my Black conservative video.
That's a lot.
On my video talking about Cop City and offering people the opportunity to actually contribute to some actual direct action. 100-something thousand views, 100-something thousand views, less than 120. So I'm not feeling y'all on this, you a Debbie Downer shit. Nigga, I'm an entertainer. And I'm gonna entertain you with some shit that I feel good about, that I know is gonna be entertaining. But if you want me to hit the streets and throw bricks, I know y'all niggas not coming anyway. So miss me with that shit.
130.
Miss me with that
130K isn't bad, but yeah,
You know?
there's a pretty big discrepancy between
cop-out.
these two.
Tell me how I'm wrong. Don't tell me I don't have a solution.
Black Panther,
I told y'all the solutions all the
conservatives,
time.
800.
Niggas know the solution. Niggas know the solution. I don't have to tell you that shit. All I can do is educate and push you in directions. And if I got to do that by putting a raccoon next to Candace Owens, I'm going to do that. But miss me with ain't no solutions. His comment about buying property is a perfect encapsulation of the problem, saying Black people should just buy property without being real about things like bias and home valuation, the hidden cost of common sense solutions. Like, there is a Black community in Atlanta. The Killer Mike might even fucking live there, for all I know. It's the Camp Creek area. They might be the city of South Fulton now. They incorporated. I don't know the situation.
I'm kind of curious.
But they got, if you ride through that area, you will see homes that look like $1 million homes. A lot of my peers from undergrad and grad school that are Black got married, moved there with their families, lived there in gorgeous houses. They got gorgeous amenities. If you ride through that area, you will think white people live there. But they do not. That's the special thing, for good or for worse, about Atlanta, that niggas in Atlanta got money. But you know what? The property value in that all Black area does not match the property value in the all white area. It's the same amenities. The schools ain't that much better. The crime is actually probably better in the Black area because niggas been running through Buckhead. It's just because they're Black. That's it. That's how this shit works. It's just because it's niggas. So you can buy some property. It's not going to add up because you don't get to make the decision on valuations. Furthermore,
I was going to say, the power of owning property all comes down to what that property is worth. Which, like, if you don't have an ability to get a fair shake or control the valuation of that property, it doesn't mean anything. You can have all the property you want. If somebody evaluates, if somebody else outside of community gets to evaluate it as being worth shit, then guess what? Your property, all that money that you spent, is worth shit.
If you become a landlord, you're going to be exploiting your own people. You are literally hustling backwards. You going to get yours, but you're going to have to keep some niggas as tenants. Did I miss anything specifically about wealthy YouTubers?
Okay, this is the rest of the Destiny, which I don't care about. I do not care about the Destiny drop. That's all him. I don't want to. I don't want any piece of that smoke. But yeah, it's just we're seeing a lot of infighting. I think, on the left, and I think it's a lot of. I don't want to say misunderstanding, but I think it's a lot of it's a lot of this feeling that I think people have that they're lost. And a big reason for that is because Bernie's kind of done for the last, for the better part of 8 years. You could describe yourself pretty succinctly as being a Bernie Sanders leftist. And that had I think, immediate understanding, or like an immediate, people had an immediate understanding of what your political leanings were based on that. They heard Bernie Sanders, progressive, or Bernie Sanders supporter, or Bernie Sanders leftist, and they knew, and I think in a way we all knew what that meant to each other. Like, we knew when Bernie was around, we knew how to identify ourselves, where we fit in, and kind of where to stand in everything. And, right now we're in this, the left especially is in this, is going through a lot of growing pains, trying to understand and calculate where we are right now politically. Are we, do we need to go farther left? Do we need to tack more to the center? Is there more we could be doing in some areas and less we could be doing in others, and vice versa? And I don't have answers. I do not portend to know really, what to. I don't know. I like a lot of people, I don't know where we are as a coalition. We are constantly fighting with each other and constantly trying to distinguish ourselves as these micro coalitions, and trying to, I think, kind of edge out and jockey for dominance over the broad left. I don't know if that's going to be fruitful by the end of it. I'm not sure the kind of infighting we do is always valuable and good. But what I do know is that we'll get there, and we're trying. And I think the infighting and everything else, while it's uncomfortable and unfun and frustrating, I like to think that through that we will get through it, that we'll come out the other end of this and have some form of understanding of where we are politically. But it's just going to take a lot of time, and something that I really want to emphasize, with this, this is an incredibly small platform. I do not have a super large voice, and I don't have a huge audience. I don't have a lot of people to weaponize in the direction that I think we should be going in, or utilize. Maybe it's, I don't know what, but I make it a point, and I hope that I am consistent in this, that structural and systemic critique is how we address problems and how we move forward in a way that builds the largest coalitions and wins, more importantly. I've seen, the reason why I wanted to hone in on this FD signifier video is because of the emphasis on structures, the emphasis on systems, in contrast to the emphasis on, lack thereof, I would say. But that's something we need to be better at, because I see us a lot of the time fighting with each other over interpersonal qualms, interpersonal disagreements, and I don't want to say tone differences, but approach differences. When we are at a stage as a left movement where we need all avenues, all routes, all ways of communicating, disseminating, distributing our rhetoric, our political ideology, all of it. We need everybody doing the thing that they do best, out there doing it. And we don't always have to like, we see it, I see it with the streamer versus essayist stuff. There is not one way to reach the people. We reach the people in every single way we can. And I find that, and I don't want to talk about this. I'm going to do this talk about it, but I don't want to die. I don't want to get in the weeds with it, because it is something that's been bugging me lately. But we need to learn to accept that we are as a left, we are a coalition of many competing ideas, and we need to learn to consistently coexist. We cannot praise and forward the concept of multiculturalism, of multi-ideological acceptance. If we cannot come together, and not even come together, if we cannot get along and put this petty bullshit aside on some of this stuff, then we have no right arguing to people about multiculturalism and the benefits therein of. We just look foolish when we do, and we drive people away, and I don't want that. I want our movement to be strong. I want our movement to be versatile. That's what I want. I want us to be versatile, to be able to shift for what we need in the moment, instead of wanting to, one or two groups always wanting to be the authority, the whatever on whatever topic. We need to have versatility in our movement. But anyway, that's my big speech. Okay. Thursday, I want to look at a video from Vice about the overwhelming power of Texas judges, and that is the only programming note I have for Thursday. So, yeah, this has been my soapbox. You all have a lovely day, or I guess a lovely night at this point, and I'll see you all Thursday. Bye-bye. Gotta run.